Good morning, everybody. I would like back the good morning with a loud voice. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Hey, see what happens. Today is a Women's Day. And generally the people are having always saying that women are making so many noise, this, that. Today we want to make it true by making a loud applause for ourselves. So let's have a loud applause for ourselves. See how important is woman in everybody's life. I was just reading somewhere today that hero. A person can be a hero, but if you remove from her her, then it becomes a zero. So that is the importance of the women. Okay, so I am Sheetal Gandhi. Today your host. I am from the Navneet Insurance Broking Private Limited, and let's now start today's function. I hope that we are little late, but yes, that's our experience at the house also. Morning, if you want to catch the train or something, we know how to manage our work in the kitchen and how to manage our work and catch the train. So for that, women are always very smart enough. So I hope the same way we will run today's program also, and I very well. I welcome you all and thank you all for taking out your precious time to celebrate International Women's Day. I again say it is International Women's Day, and in India we are all celebrating this. Insurance Alerts is the International Women's Day confluence, and award is organized by Insurance Alerts. भारतवर्ष का लार्जेस्ट और एशिया का सेकंड लार्जेस्ट solely dedicated insurance news platform बन गया है. We should be proud of them that they have become, in very short period, they have achieved so much. Insurance Alert is accessible in website, mobile app, daily newsletters, SMS, and even on broadcast. They are sponsored by GIC Re. It's one of the very largest reinsurance in the India, and maybe having a very good name in the world also. SBI General Insurance Company, leisureissues.com, who are the holiday membership plan with the medical insurance and partnered by the Insurance Broker Association. So now let us start our celebration, and as per the tradition, our celebration will always start with lighting the diya, and for which I am just requesting Mrs. Lisa Jeffery, Madhulika Bhasker, Anamika Roy, Mr. Praveen Gupta, and Usha Jain, who is a host for today's event. Please be here on the dais. Thank you, all of you, and I hope that this is a lightning will be there in everybody's our life for the coming year. It has been just 1 year, and Insurance Alert is now read by over 55,000 insurance professionals in 35 countries, including over 42,000 insurance agents and POS in India in 136 cities. I feel honored to invite on stage our guest of honor, Mrs. Lisa Jeffery. She is a Deputy CEO of IBAI General Insurance. Having the more than 30 years of experience in insurance industry, worked in senior leadership roles in broking, underwriting, and operations and strategy. Ma'am, we will be having highly obliged. Please, let's have. Welcome.
Thanks so much. Thank you very much. I've just been sitting at the table having an amazing conversation about carbon footprint and climate. And what I love about a discussion like that with a group of women is that it's robust and passionate, but it's always respectful and it's just fun. Okay, so I think I really enjoyed that lovely conversation. I'm very privileged to speak here today to this group on a day that is a celebration about women. I've been watching. I'm from Australia. And I've been watching the events that my friends and colleagues in Australia have been conducting today, and it's been amazing to watch. They are 5.5 hours behind, so their day is almost at completion, but this is a celebration worldwide. So congratulations to the Insurance Alerts team for bringing this day together. It's a really important topic. And I look at the crowd here, what I'm really happy about is that I believe we have around 30% of men in the room. Very happy with that. And it almost feels like the right balance, 70-30. So, again, this will never happen, or the voice will never be heard if men are not involved in this conversation. It's quite simple. So the voice to support gender equality is obviously starting to really gain some momentum. The Me Too movement, which is the voice against harassment and unsafe work environments. He for She, which I know we'll talk to today, is about inviting every person to rise in solidarity and support gender equality across the globe. But we have such a long way to get to where we need to. The first Women's Day, I researched this. The first event was in February 1909. Okay, so we've been trying to do this for a long time. Different events have occurred over the years, and the United Nations' first International Women's Day celebration was in 1975 on the 8th of March. And here we are, 44 years, I hope my math is right, 44 years later, and I know the world has changed significantly, but I wonder how much, in fact, has changed for gender equality. It would be really interesting to look at that in detail. So the global theme of International Women's Day this year is Balance for Better. Gender balance from boardrooms to business, from wealth to opportunity. Across the globe, gender equality means many different things to different people, groups and cultures. Every country is at a different stage, but it's important to everybody. So what we do know is that today, International Women's Day is being celebrated all across the world right now. As I mentioned, it's either happened this morning, or it's happening now, or it's about to happen this afternoon and this evening. In a business environment, There have been many reports published around, or that clearly demonstrate that gender balance is good for business. So there is the right thing to do, and then there is the business outcome. And I know that McKinsey had a report published last year with demonstrable analytics to show that a more balanced and more diverse executive team and boardroom will produce better profits. So for all of those who go straight to the profitability of a business, there is actually a sound business reason why we need to do this as well. So when I think of diversity, and diversity of thought, we all think differently. Men and women think very differently. Diversity means obviously other things, but we're only talking about gender today. Men and women have very different leadership styles. So if you think about the different styles and your colleagues, different styles is needed to build a diverse and inclusive culture. It's really important, and that is the success of our future people. So diversity is not and should never be women versus men. The minute, if that ever happens, this whole movement will actually fail because we'll have diversity the wrong way around, and that doesn't work. So it's all about balance. The one thing it's not about women having to do everything on their own. And I mentioned the 30% of men in the room. This cannot happen without there are so many amazing men here today, and in our industry and in the business world, who are so passionate and supportive of this cause. Many have career wives, and many have daughters who I'm sure they're wanting to see grow in an inclusive environment where they have opportunity to be whatever they want to be, and that is a really important part. So when I think about my own personal situation, my husband still lives in Australia, and we've managed for the last year to do that. So he was the first one, when I had this opportunity to come to India, he was the first one who said, you need to do that. It will be an amazing experience. It is great for your career. And he said, and I will be fine. And of course he's fine. He doesn't do the housework enough. He pretends that he does. And I know he's having a lot of fun with his friends because I'm here. But he does call me regularly, and we still talk about work. So over the years, I don't believe I could have been as successful as what I have been, or the opportunities I've had, without him. So I'm truly lucky that I've had that extra support. So now, creating diversity, when we talk about what it is and why, sounds so simple, and we know why, and we have the facts, but it's not easy. I think, it's finding that, especially our industry in particular, is an industry where we have a very imbalanced executive level. That will take time, but it does need to happen. For those women who are already in senior roles, don't think for 1 minute that's been easy. They will have been there through hard work, perseverance, and no doubt setbacks along the way. But that says a lot about who we are and how strong we are. So who feels that at some point in their career they were overlooked because they were female? No one, just me. 1, 2, come on, be honest, ladies. It may just be a feeling, it may actually not be right, but it's how we feel. So it's at this point where you either take back the power or you become a victim and accept that situation. So we are strong, we are resilient, I was trying to think of every adjective I could think of about how great we are. It was very exciting. We are persistent, but we are patient. We are super smart. We are super smart people. We nurture, we care, we have empathy, we work really hard, and we're the first to put out our hand when someone needs help. So if you think about all of that bundled up, what an extraordinary group of people we are. Seriously, we have to be grateful for that. So I think we should give ourselves a... So we are mothers, we are wives, we are sisters, we are daughters, we are confidants, we are friends, and I think we are incredibly fascinating and complex people. But as I said, we are truly amazing, and we can do anything that we want, okay? So today is about celebrating and hearing from extraordinary women. I know we have some fantastic speakers ahead today, and I'm really looking forward to listening to their views and hearing the conversations to be had. So before I quickly close, there's three things I would like everyone to think about when they go back to work next week. Some of these are lessons I've learnt personally, and some are advice I've received from various mentors. So when you are pushed down at work or miss an opportunity or feel that you don't have a voice, get back up, dust yourself off, and just keep going. So this is I've learnt this probably a hard way a few times, but you have to get back up and just keep going. If the situation is untenable or unacceptable, you have choice. There are plenty of amazing businesses that are very supportive. Build a network of women around you. We don't do that very well. We were talking before about, so women we fix stuff. When there is something to do or a problem to solve, we typically will go head down and just go and fix that thing as fast as we can. Find a network and ease the burden. Okay, you may actually end up with even a better outcome than you solving something on your own. And finally, when you are progressing through the corporate ranks, be the person who puts their hand out to the women coming through behind you, because they need that, and we all need that, and that's where momentum will come. So be that person when you are successful to give the leg up to those behind you. So thank you again for the opportunity, and I hope you enjoy the day.
Thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful speech. And really, it has enlightened us on this auspicious day. So this is our third event in the last just 8 months. On 18th August 2018, we had organized our first event, Insurance Conclave, followed by Insurance Conclave and Awards on 18th January 2019. Now I am pleased to announce our next 3 events. Please put it in your diary, that Health Insurance and Healthcare Conclave on 15th June in Chennai and 10th August 2019 in Mumbai, and CEO Influence and Corporate Awards on Saturday 13th August in Mumbai. 6 events in 1 year will make us the largest organizers of the insurance events in India. It's a big round of applause for the insurance alerts. Now I would like to call Anamika Roy for giving her the keynotes. She is a whole-time director marketing at Iffco Tokio General Insurance with over 3 decades experience in general insurance. She has served in both public and private sector general insurance companies. She is postgraduate in English from Calcutta University, Fellow of Insurance Institute of India, and a Chartered Property Casualty Underwriter from the Institute USA. I welcome you, ma'am, on the stage with big round of applause. And I will add here personally for me also that I am associated with her for so many years, and many times she has guided us in a very proper way on the general insurance. I welcome you.
Well, I'm caught by surprise about this keynote address. Let me admit this first. Well, good morning to all of you, and a hearty welcome to this event today on behalf of the organizers. As a part of women, maybe an official from the insurance sector, I did see some topics which, my corporate communication was briefing me about this event, and said that there are 4 topics of discussion about whether you want to be in the boys club, something which Madam already spoke about. And there was a topic which said that about whether women are suited for business development. Of course, the word they used was marketeer. Maybe I wouldn't like to use that word. For business development in this sector. I would prefer if you have this as a question answers to me, the young people who are here, to understand whether women fit this profile in this sector. But just I'll take 5 minutes to share with you, do we really need to celebrate Women's Day? Maybe it is just a pat on our back to remind that we are wonderful superstars who actually bring in diversity to every aspect of our living, I would say, whether be it at home, be it in our workplace, be it amongst families, friends, and everybody. And how important it is. Diversity is very, very important. I keep having this argument with many people that why we should have more diverse views in the boardrooms. It is very critical. You know why? Because the more diverse our views are, the better is the organization. An organization which believes in not promoting diversity is killing itself by the day. So I think this is a very good reason for us to celebrate. And we have Anand Rathi's owners, the Mrs. Supriya Rathi with us. So sometimes whenever I see her, I am very pleased because you see there are women who are running what we used to call the man's business. Secondly, I would also talk about why do we have to belong to the man's club? Why do we have to break that? Is it necessary? It is not. We are unique in our own ways, and we have what we call all kinds of attributes required. We need to complement each other. If the men's world thinks something and the women's world thinks, if we're all alike, we'll be clones. And if we're all clones, the society doesn't run. And if the society doesn't run, we become degenerate. So do not worry too much what the men do, whether we should belong to the men's club, what they discuss. Let them be alone. Let us form the women's club if required, or just barge into the man's club as if you are a man, and let the man barge in as if he was a woman. It really doesn't bother me at all. And if somebody asks me that I have been in hardcore sales function for the last 32 years, whether I missed out anything not being in the boys club, or do I want to be in the boys club? No. I have my own identity. I have my own, I would call it, some kind of values that I would bring to the business, and that helps us a lot. That helps the organization a lot. If all of us go to the pub in the evening and start abusing our boss, what do you really achieve? What do you achieve with all the swear words that is used? That's fine. They're happy. Let them enjoy themselves. You could enjoy in your own way. The second part. And the third part is, what do we bring to table as women in this insurance business for the first, and overall in the society at large? In insurance, because it's such an intangible product, I think women are the best people to do this business. Why? We understand emotions. We understand people's needs without having spoken. As a mother, as a daughter, as a sister, name it, whatever roles you would like to attribute to yourself, you have always understood the needs better. And so what happens in that case for customers' needs? 4 qualities that we bring to table is empathy, which is very much required for selling. very, very qualitative listener. Men may be a better listener. They keep doing, okay, they'll smoke a cigarette, take a beer. You keep on talking to the men, yes. Whether they're really listening, I'm not very sure. So same way, but as a woman, okay, we throw our fits, our tantrums, whatever, but we listen. That's an important quality for selling business. Number 3, we somewhere, maybe that is our natural instinct, live up to our commitments. And that is extremely important in terms of delivering our claim services. So if you look at the attributes that we bring as a diverse workforce to the business that we are in, we bring in empathy to understand the client's needs. We bring in a lot more commitment to deliver the promises that we make at the times of truth that we face. And the third, we do listen. We listen to our colleagues, listen to our peers. Well, my colleagues down there may be laughing that, ma'am, you don't listen too much. That's maybe that. They don't judge the book by its cover. So don't judge the book by its cover sometimes. Now, just to say that if any of you think I will spare 1 minute on this dais today, any of you have any tough questions for me to understand how to go about rising a ladder in this industry, in both public and private sector, I am open to it. But remember one thing, you make or break your career. Nobody can do it. Nobody helps you do that. Nobody can break you up. Each time I was not happy doing something, I just quit and moved on. Instead of being there like a cancer, criticizing, cribbing, because it wastes your energy, it actually spreads venom. Instead of that, just move on if something is not working. I think Madam asked a question, how many of you got overlooked because you were a woman? Yes, we do get overlooked because they give us bad things. She will go home. Maybe at the middle level stage, not that I find many of you here, most of us are seniors, some of them have just started their career. But somewhere when you reach a midlife kind of a situation, I think when women keep talking about, I have to go home because my mother-in-law is not well, my father-in-law is sick, and my bai has not come, and my daughter, you kill your own case. The men have the same problems they don't talk about. So somewhere we would also have to turn professional. I think I don't know how many of you have seen the video this morning which was uploaded by my company, and that is something I keep talking about, that if you think you are going to struggle, you will. What is it that you need to do as a woman to be absolutely efficient? We do spend a lot of money going out and eating food. We spend a lot of money buying very good clothes. My success is only one thing. As Madam also said, spouse. Of course, your mother pushes you, that is a different thing. But as of date, when I stand and speak and travel 20 days a month, you will have to spend on professional help. When I say professional, domestic help who do the mundane activities. You don't have to run home to cook your food and things like that. Take the mundane and repetitive routine work. If today robots can do that and artificial intelligence we are talking about, so let's keep that to the chatbots of the world for us. So let us move that out and let us spend quality time, be it in office, be it at home. If you are giving your 100%, there is no man's club who can trample you down. There is no boss who can overlook a good worker. And there is no boss who doesn't like a good worker. But at the same time, you will have to think of 3 things. Am I the best in what I do? Do I know my subject matter better than everybody else? And the third thing, am I an exemplary worker that I am? No one after that can stop you from rising. I don't think so. You don't have to belong to the boys' club to be the greatest. You don't have to be a man to be the greatest. You as a woman are respected. You are respected for your diversity. You are respected for the qualities you bring to the table. Be proud that you are a woman and celebrate your womanhood today. Thank you very much. Maybe this is not the right time for questions, but we will be during the day anytime. I think I'll be open to taking any questions that you have. All right? Enjoy, celebrate, not today, every day. Celebrate your diversity, celebrate your uniqueness. You are very precious to the companies you work for, to the organization, and to the industry that we are building today. God bless and have a great day.
Thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful speech. I was reading somewhere that on the perfection of all men, woman is behind that. Then what about the perfection for the woman? They don't require, they are born with the perfection itself. This is what I feel. Thanks, ma'am. It was a very good speech, and it was really enthusiastic where we understand. And I agree with her that we can have our own club also, and we have to do it. Now I would like to call our chief guest, Mrs. Madhulika, to be on the task to give her speech. She is a general manager with GIC Re. She has joined the corporation as a direct recruit officer in 1988, having 30 years of experience in the corporation. She is MSc in microbiology from Mumbai University, Fellow of Insurance Institute of India, Diploma in Computer Management from Mumbai. She is visiting faculty with NIA Pune and Insurance Institute of India, Mumbai. She has also been a speaker at various international conferences on insurance, reinsurance, and risk management. Her articles are published in many journals and periodicals. We welcome you, ma'am, here. And reinsurance is such a, we always say insurance of insurance is a reinsurance, but it is not so easy. And I had an opportunity to hear her long back on the aviation also. So she is very expert in this, and I'll just, ma'am, this is a test for you. It's your turn.
Thank you, ma'am, for the elaborate, I would say, like, insurance and all that is play of words. Like when you talk about contract wordings and all, I got a feel of that. You go on talking a lot about a person, and then you finally have a legal angle which comes into that contract. First of all, like, let me thank Insurance Alerts when they came and approached me. The fact that they called me as a chief guest was something that was disturbing me. But then I realized these small things come as freebies with the sponsorship of the company, nothing to do with me. So that gave me a bit of a comfort. I said, okay. I have been a speaker, but I'm at faculty and all that, but that's always on a technical subject where I'm proud to say I have a bit of an expertise. But talking about things general and about women, I was a bit hesitant to accept this thing. And then somewhere I felt a bit ashamed. I said, we're talking about equality, inclusion, our rights. And then why am I shrugging away from an opportunity which is knocking my door? I said, well, let's accept it. So that's how I'm here, and the rest is all history after that. So just taking you, the topic which actually really fascinated me was the cracking into the boys' club. Maybe that came to me naturally because I have a sibling, a brother, elder brother of 1.5 year difference. And unfortunately, there weren't any girls in my building of my age. So I grew up with boys playing marbles, kite, cricket, gulli danda, name it. I was an expert in that. And on hindsight, when I say unfortunately, maybe it was a fortunate thing that happened. I'll link it later. So that's how I grew up. My parents put me in a girls' school, my brother in a boys' school. I don't know with what intention, but the major part of my days was spent on the other side playing all these games. So when you talk about cracking the boys' club, I think as girls we have been doing it right from the beginning. What's there to crack after that? Then coming as at the age of about 21, I wanted a two-wheeler. My father put a condition, well, you earn it and that's yours. When I was doing my MSc microbiology, there was a bank, Sangli Bank had set up an office at Goregaon. Their HO at Sangli was to recruit people. And it was a double-time bank. I took an opportunity, I spoke to my guide, I did MSc by research. I said, I'll put in morning and evening. Afternoons I used to work in that bank, created a small kitty. I said, enough, every day I used to look at the price of the two-wheeler. Yes, I've reached my target. I took my dad to Shah and Sangi, went to get my two-wheeler. And there they said one time, the rules have changed, you have to pay one-time tax, accessories. They give you a bare two-wheeler, no sari guard, nothing. I said, slowly, the dream was being shattered in front of my eyes. My dad had come prepared. I said, okay, well, you have funded 90%. He put in the difference. And at that time, about 30 years back, I had a two-wheeler, which was, today you see many girls on two-wheelers. At that time, you could count them on your fingertips. And with your two-wheeler, I zoomed into this men's world. There's nothing stopping you after that. In no given time was my two-wheeler a single rider. It was never solo, always a pillion. Whoever want a ride, come. Enjoyed life like anything. And that's when you really, this auto rickshaws, I come from the suburbs. They couldn't tolerate a lady on a two-wheeler. At every signal and all, they'll trouble you. And that's where your training actually starts. Give them cold looks, and if looks could kill them, I would have at least 2 to 3 cops every day. You learn to fight your way through it, and actually it boldened you. You knew how to handle things, and the grooming started. After that, this always been fighting for your existence. I went for an interview for the teaching post. The principal, I'd gone in a salwar kameez, pretty decent, chunni, well pinned, everything. After the interview, he says, we are happy with the interview, but then we have a dress code. I said, what's it? I said, you have to come in a sari. I said, what has sari got to do with my teaching? He's saying, no, but that's our dress code. I said, I challenged him. I said, sir, you can come and sit for my lecture. If you think my dress is disturbing the class, my promise, I'll change over. But if you think that my lecture is what they're concentrating on and my dress doesn't matter, well, I'm going to continue with this. The principal did come and sit for my first lecture, and then he realized that, well, the lecture is what was catching the attention, and won't believe, we are the trendsetters. Today that college, I've got 95%, at that time, 95% of the lady staff started coming in salwar kameez, and that became the dress code. So I think that's how you enter the men's world, you take them head on and just keep moving. There's nothing to stop you after that. When I just knew in GIC, I wanted to complete my fellowship. My father fell sick, he had a gangrenous foot. My brother was just married in Nagpur. So when you talk about inclusion rights, what I want to give you a case is, well, with that comes a lot of responsibility. Demanding something is fine, be prepared for the other side. He raised his hands saying, well, I can't come down to Bombay at this time. Had to take major decisions like, should we amputate the leg and things like that. You know how doctors are. They put the cards on your table, the call is yours. I'm in a fix. Now what happens? Generally, my mom will say, bhaiya ko pucho. He should be here to take the decision. He's not. Finally made my terms clear. Either you trust me, is my father as well, I'll take the decisions, but nobody questions me after that. I'll do the best. Ask him if it's acceptable or let him fly down just now. That's how I took my decisions. I saved his foot. What I want to just point out is, well, when you ask for your rights, be prepared. It comes with heavy responsibilities. There would be people pointing fingers later. Be able to sustain all that. And if you have taken a decision, well thought out, well informed, stick to it. And don't ever regret it. Just go ahead. It was a time when after we brought him home, that was the time I came to know I had so many relatives. Where were all of them when he was in hospital? I don't know. Every day I said, Mommy, who are all these? Our relatives? I said, where were they when we wanted help? I said, nothing doing now. I said, I have to call my shots. I wanted to complete my associate. 6 papers, 10 chapters each. 60 chapters and 30 days. I had to do 2 chapters a day, and I wanted to complete the associate in one go. Now what to do? If I come home, like every day a bunch of relatives sitting there going on catering, tea, coffee. I said, that's not what I'm made for. I said, I want to give my exams. Every day I used to take the train from Churchgate to Andheri, sit in the train, travel to Andheri, travel back. Until I finish 2 chapters, I'm not supposed to reach home. That's how I finished the 60 chapters, all 6 papers at one go, got my associateship, and that's what is like dedication. That's what ladies are made of. Absolute iron material. You fix your goals, there's nothing that can stop you after that. Every day I did this till I finished all the papers. Well, I mean, there was a timetable. Take your book into the toilet, take it into your train, take it wherever till you finish 2 chapters, not coming home. And I made it, all the 6 chapters at one go. After that, of course, the fellowship also followed. So, I mean, things were going pretty well. Got married to somebody from my industry itself. Things were very cozy. One fine day, I mean, very early in life, I lost my husband and 2 sons. That's another acid test. 2 boisterous boys, and had to handle them and handle your job and handle them. And my mother-in-law was with me at that time. I mean, what I want to point out here is you do have difficulties, not that the men don't have it. It's how you tackle it. As she put it, you build your support systems. You can't actually handle everything on your own. You want to build a career, you want to bring up your children, you want to give them the best. You can't do everything. I mean, it's fine, multitasking and all that, but if you want a homework balance, please build your own support systems. It could be your mates, your relatives, someone whom you can trust and rely when you have, I mean, there would be occasions when you have to stay back in office, you build your support systems. I mean, today I can look back and, I mean, say with pride that, well, I did bring them up pretty well. They are doing well today, both engineers, I mean, from reputed colleges and all. I mean, so everything, I mean, just falls in place. These are all your acid tests. I mean, do your best, go ahead with them. Now what is left now to crack the boys club? We have already cracked it as kids, as college, now coming to the office level. I mean, I asked them whether they have a projector. I mean, unfortunately, they don't have. We had a 10+2 vocational course which GIC had started. Those students have started one citizens club. They have come out with a wonderful calendar, all women, executives, GMs and above of the public sector. They covered 6 PSUs and 12 lady executives. I mean, when we talk about entering the 30% club, I think it's now the men who have to start, they're going into minority as far as the public sector insurance is concerned. Look at GIC itself. We have got our CMD is a lady, our 2 full-time directors are ladies, plus 3 more GMs, 6 of us in the boardroom at any given time, and we are always in the majority. And amongst the 6 people, we are sharing all major portfolios like CRO, CEO, CFO, financial advisor, chief underwriting officer, and company secretary. So all prime posts shared by the 6 ladies. And that's GIC Re today. I mean, if you want to talk about women in various careers, I mean, where have the women not reached? They are even in your astronauts. We have got. I mean, recently we heard about a lady who has entered the fighter planes. I mean, she has completed. So I mean, leave the traditional jobs like teaching, music and art and all. We have also ended up in all those careers which were earlier not known to be the ladies' field. So we have already long back cracked this particular, what you can say, the glass ceiling which is there. And if I want to name some ladies in the prominent positions, I mean, I would start with my CMD. I mean, then again you would say there's a next topic, which says to give some tips on how do you actually achieve or enhancement in your company. Well, that's not the reason why I'm naming my CMD. But then still, I mean, if you have ever met her, you could see the energy that she expressed at the age of 60, at the speed at which she walks and all. I mean, at the end of the day at 6:30, I mean, you start wondering, is she starting her day now? That energized to do a new project at that hour. And name other few others, of course, we have got Shika Sharma, Arundhati Bhattacharya, and I'm going to name one more controversial name today, Chanda Kochar. I mean, maybe for whatever reason, I still was a silent admirer of her, the way she carried herself and all. I mean, women have reached all top positions in financial sectors, particularly PSU, insurance. I don't think we have left any field open that we have not really reached. Now, how have women achieved all this, if you ask? Like ma'am has already covered a few of our, both the speakers, that what are the traits that we have by which we manage this. We are committed, we are sincere, we are honest, and many more qualities. And that's what makes the women definitely outshine the men of our in our lot. Now, when it comes to work-life balance, to achieve these career objectives and goals, you need to actually balance that. I'll give you my own example. Like, career is one of the reasons. When it came to when the market was opening up, the question came of, do we both stick to the public sector or one of us quits? The call was, it was open. I should appreciate the call was open to both of us. But then we took a call that fine, that I will stick to the public sector where little time is a bit of a liberty, leave is a liberty, it's our birthright rather. So he quit the public sector and went to the private sector. I continued with the PSU. Things were good. But then even in the PSU, at a time what stage reached, when we are in reinsurance, we basically start when the Asian market starts and the end the day when London ends. So there's no time, it's 12 hours, 14 hours, whatever. So once my son pointed out and says, ma'am, people talk about parents not giving quality time to their children. You're not even giving us time. Where is the quality time? And that's when my eyes opened. I said, enough. I said, how long can you go on doing an operational portfolio and reaching home at odd hours? By the time I used to reach home, they would be sleeping. Morning, before never even the morning hours, we hardly saw each other in the woken state. So that's when I took a step down. I stepped out of the operational portfolio and I didn't opt for anything. I was given the ERM department and made the CRO. Fine. What I want to point out is, it's somewhere if you have to do a work-life balance, please take a step down. Nothing stops you from rebounding back. It's always open. There is enough space at the top. But one thing, don't kill your happiness. There's no regrets, no turning back. There could be a next opportunity, where you can bounce back again. When I stepped out of operations, I had a sort of a feeling within me, maybe I won't become a GM now. Normally it is the operational people who are in the limelight. But thing is, you make pastures, green pastures of wherever you are. The ERM department became, I just converted it into the most dreaded department as the CRO. Took a head on, putting systems in place, raising red flags wherever possible, and people started feeling like, is it more important than an underwriting department? There were people who are wanting to get transferred and come into ERM department. So what I want to point out here is, it's up to you what you make of your department. There are no labels that this is the best department, accounts is a back office, nothing like that. You put in your best, you outshine. People start thinking yahi pe kuch acha hai, and then you groom your people and then they poach them out. It's that, it's up to you what you do with your team. I would give you one more example. When I was in technical, my table I started with the miscellaneous portfolio. There's be fire, marine and miscellaneous. But I ended up becoming the miscellany table, nothing like miscellaneous class of business, anything, because this guy will define, ye fire nahi hai, ye marine nahi hai, to baithega kahan pe? It is miscellaneous. So it finally became the miscellany table. Ministry wants something, comes to you. The message here is, take whatever comes your way, prove your worth and then there is no end to your growth. These small assignments give you a lot of exposure, give you a lot of learning opportunity, and that's where you get noticed. Keep doing your routine work. You do it for 15 hours and 18 hours, you won't get noticed. Do these odd jobs which come and fall on your lap. That's where you can make a point. You get noticed, because there are, lot of people in PSU, precedence chahiye, cut copy copy paste, and hardly few people can actually take a blank sheet of paper and put their thoughts on it. So when these new kinds of assignment come, you really, I mean, these are the testing phases where you are the first one to put a thought. You will have a boss who will then put on value to it, improve it. But ask him to jot something on a clean sheet of paper may be difficult. So when you get this an opportunity to do something out of the routine, please grab it. And that's where you can actually outshine the club that we are trying to break and get into. And like now, just in conclusion, like if we are in a metro city and I mean PSU and all, hardly anyone can actually complain that there is gender bias, at least in our type of companies. And if anyone is complaining, I would rather say it's actually a hoax or the pretense to cover up their underperformance. Because I have seen in my 30 plus years, at least in all these PSUs that I work for, or NIA, III, where we go, I haven't seen anything like a gender bias, that someone else getting a better opportunity. If someone complains that, it's just cover up for an underperformance. And at our level, if you all have got an opportunity to come here, I mean, the only message that I would give is you become the crusader, the campaigner, and see that you give other ladies, whoever, could be your maid's daughter or anyone who is not as fortunate, the opportunity to rise up and reach where you all are today. Because we were lucky, we got the right education, the right opportunity. We got to, our parents never discriminated between us. That's where we managed to reach where we are today. Any given small or big opportunity that you get to play a fair chance to a girl child, please do it. Let's see that they also rise to where you are. With that, I close it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful speech, and thanks for your elaborating and sharing your experience, which will be definitely for the youngsters to grow in the life. With so many odds also comes in the life, but women can achieve at anything. Yes, now we are having He for She, a United Nations initiative for men and people of all genders to stand in solidarity with women to create a bold, visible and united force for a gender equal world is the subject for the panel discussion, for which I would like to invite Mr. Praveen Gupta to be on this desk. He is a CEO and Managing Director, Rahija QBE General Insurance Company, having 30 plus 3 decades the 3+ decades of the industry experience in diversing markets like India, Thailand, HK and UK. He is a Chartered Insurer Fellow of Chartered Insurance Institute UK and Insurance Institute of India, Diploma in Direct Marketing IDM UK, MA from Delhi. He is a recipient of Dr. Subramaniam Award and SK Desai Memorial Prize by Insurance Institute of India. He is also a recipient of Special Prize from Geneva Association and the Group Exchange Award by Rotary International. He regularly writes and speaks of prestigious national and international forum. With him, the other panelists will be Dr. R. Birevar and Mrs. Bindu Sebastian. I'll request all three of them to be on the dais. And I'm just putting one more responsibility on Mr. Praveen Gupta to introduce about both of them. Welcome at this place. We are the moderators, so that we are the senators.
Thank you very much. Without much ado, I'm delighted I'm here and feels very, very amazing that we have more women here than men. And it's not just in a flattering or complimentary sense that I'm saying that. This is something that I've been cherishing as a cause I love to promote. And I must also thank and congratulate Mr. Vivek Jain that basically, believe it or not, this is only the second ever diversity inclusivity event by the industry ever since it opened up. I've had the pleasure of attending both, and in fact playing a small bit in both in my own humble way. The first one was done in collaboration with my institute, Chartered Insurance Institute UK. We did that on 9th of October 2017. So it took us almost 17 plus years to kind of do an event like that. And not many insurers were forthcoming. And I'll tell you the common factor there. The other day, your CMD, she's an old friend. We all originate from the same company, and someone in the press was making fun about Alice being from Wonderland. She didn't like it, which she told me later. But she was generous enough, and I said, "You are my rich sister. Please, can you sponsor this event?" So it was GIC and AIG which did that event, and of course others jumped in. But no insurer thought it to be relevant or worth their time to come and join in, which is a bit sad, because the insurance industry is highly diverse in what it does, but it misses out many things. And I'll stray off a bit here and there, and with due respect to the two eminent ladies who are with me, and I'll quickly take you through what they do and why they should be here and what should they be saying. But the fact is that the GIC event was the first one, and Mr. Jain took up this challenge and decided to do something just on the right day. So congratulations, Mr. Jain, and thank you for supporting the cause. And again, we see Ms. Vedyan and GIC kindly, coming in and supporting the cause. The fact that it all goes back to the way I've been brought up, and a lot of women from very early days in my growing up. My mom, my aunt, and everyone were doctors. My aunt would have been 99 plus if she was around, and she was an amazing doctor. My mom decided to follow the steps, and it's been amazing how women I've seen closely in the family doing things which were traditionally in the mindset of others a man's role, but for me, it doesn't matter, and we've always encouraged the wives or daughters or daughter-in-laws or whoever, to be doing their bit. And I'm a bit surprised that insurers don't get it right, and it's not a challenge here. I've been sitting on the global board of the Diversity Action Group of the CII, and similar debates would happen even sitting in UK, and the president of the CII would tell me, "Praveen, why are you here? You don't have these problems in India." And I would tell him, "Sandy, this is something I'm seeing coming in the near future. So I can see the future here in UK, and there were issues building up, and I hope and pray that we don't end up in those situations where interpersonal issues would escalate to such levels that they would go to International Human Rights Commission. So Brexit or no Brexit, I believe UK would still have access to those institutions. But those institutions must be or need to be addressing some more fundamental issues. Yes, diversity and women participation into that is important. But having said that, as a country which has historically had 5,000 years of civilizational evolution, we still keep seeing backlashes and going back and forth. Let's accept that we have challenges. What my friend Mrs. Bhasker, the late husband Bhasker, was a dear friend and was a lovely human being, and I've had the privilege of overhearing the other side of the conversations and how vigorous that could get. He was a lovely person and one of the most amazing aviation underwriters, and I'm sure I still can't figure out who was better, not because he was my friend, but I know you continue doing it on a global scale and have taken GIC to the level that it has gone. But having said that, I'll bring in a lot of my thoughts as we go along. But thank you once again, Mr. Jain, for holding this event and for getting me here. I feel very privileged and really honored. Thank you once again. So I have two friends who happen to be ladies, and they, irrespective of being women, they are strong leaders in what they do and what they've chosen to do. I'll just provoke them to speak and let them tell you what drives them to do what they do. So Rasika started in her own modest ways long ago with India's largest insurer, which is a public sector insurer. But it was a very entrepreneurial business model that she created to help the health business. And I'll let her talk to you as to where she started and what has she been doing all this while, and what is her vision for tomorrow with her business that she's into today. So over to you, Rasika.
Yeah, thank you so much, Praveen, and thank you, Mr. Jain, for inviting and giving me an opportunity to talk at this forum on this special day. It's essentially a very, very celebratory day, you could call, as you mentioned that it is almost 44 years. So I'm Rasika, and the way I'd like to introduce myself is in the following sequence. I'm a mom to a 19-year-old. And that's that I owe to God. And I am a PhD in biochemistry, and that I owe to my parents. I live in a joint family. I'm married and I live in a joint family, and that is what the he in my life is. And I am a co-founder of AAA Healthcare, and I owe this to my partner and business partner, Dr. Madhulika, and this is how the he for she has worked in my in my life. I'm still trying to find a perfect blend out of this whole story, and I'm really happy to share my small journey and my learnings in this forum. If you'd like me to continue, or let's make this a little more interactive, because
I think we'll do that.
Yeah.
But thanks. I think that's a quick start, and we'll go back and forth to reinforce what you're saying. Over to you, Bindu.
I came into sales by accident. That was not my first preference, but over the period of time, I've sort of taken a liking for it. I represent 1MG Technologies, and I lead their institutional business, and it's complete.
Please keep it closer.
My name is Bindu Sebastian. Is it audible enough? Yeah, okay. So it's now my 20th year of being in the insurance and related health insurance space. I started off my career in sales, but which was not a very voluntary option in those years. Having grown up in various cantonments across India, options around professional life were not as evident when I was, trying to decide which way to go. So when I landed up in Bangalore in 1994, the only option that I got was in sales. Very reluctantly, I took the job, but rest is history. I've continued, and I've excelled, and I feel very passionately about my clients, the projects that I handle, and in the last 17, 18 years have been dedicated towards health insurance, health services, healthcare benefits across retail and corporate sector.
So we'll keep this discovery of who Bindu Sebastian is going. So thanks for that. So just to warm you up with some insights, Bindu is used to, she keeps saying, I hate to even talk about it, but I would fail in my duty if I don't mention. She was a 100 meters champion of her days, a hardcore Keralite who grew up in, as she said, cantonments. She grew up a large part of her growing years in Punjab, and the more vigorous masculine, instinct, geography of India. And I keep saying not many men could catch up with her because she was the fastest. And what do you have to say?
Well, at least my father agreed to that. So did my earlier colleagues who helped me find my footings, which were predominantly men. I was the first salesperson in a 16-member men's team. So I owe a lot to Clyde Cooper, who was the founding director for Blue Dart, and his wife Farida Cooper. And she was extremely thrilled to find a lady in her sales team in Bangalore. And that's where I found my footing. And I do believe that without the men in the in supporting role, we would not find our footings, right? So whether it is good men, bad men, it always helps you find your footing. It always find you that ladder to step up or change your direction to what you feel is rightfully your calling. That's all. Yeah. So yeah, I think a large part of who I am today, I think I would owe to my father, my very competitive mother, who was an only girl child in a family of 9 boys. So I think that's where the push came from. The excellence to get into sporting activities was my mother's motivation to encourage me in whatever I wanted to do, whether I want to travel alone, whether I wanted to go into national level sports or pursue sports as a main subject in school, was my father's support and my mother's confidence that this woman or this girl will find her way to manage everything on her own. So I feel that your parental support, the families that you're born in, and the social network that you find yourself gives you the edge to be to excel. The pressures of those environments will give you direction to excel. A lot of us in urban and rural populations do not find this, but some of us are lucky, and it is our responsibility to give a lending hand to our peers, our female colleagues, youngsters in our social network to push ahead and find their way.
Thanks. So from a sprinter, you've become a long-distance runner now. So literally dealing with life and overcoming all the obstacles.
Yes, from Kerala to Jammu and Kashmir, and from there to Bangalore, and from Bangalore to Bombay. It's been a long, long run.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'll come back to you. Dr. Birwar, may I pass this on to you and borrow this? Thank you. So basically, the work that you do touches on the lives of people, and you and I have spoken a lot about your vision, but I think that vision is amazing and worth sharing with the audience here. What is it, in terms of healthcare that you're touching, in terms of lives of people? What are the areas where do you believe healthcare is not getting it right, and where is it that you want to bring the change?
All right, that's like a large question. So essentially, from my childhood, I've spent. My mom was a professor in GS Medical, which is a medical college in Mumbai, and I've spent most of my vacation, my Saturdays at KEM Hospital, operating the lifts and ferrying patients from one place to another. So a hospital was always home for me. The smell was not deterring, and it was a place for me that amongst all the somber atmosphere that was there, I found my cheer there. So that's an industry that I always wanted to be, but I did not want to be a doctor. This was something that I was very sure of, and in this whole thing, I knew that I had to have some kind of a activity that I do by myself. So I had to link in my life healthcare to an entrepreneurship kind of an activity, and eventually I did. So post my PhD, I kind of started an entrepreneurial company that worked along with for 12 years in the space of pre-insurance health checkup, medical underwriting, as well as health investigations and claim settlings. And that's kind of what I did for almost 12 years before I moved out and I started AAA Healthcare. So a large exposure to healthcare actually came to me via insurance and the kind of dealings that were there. And from the patient perspective also, as well as from the doctor's perspective when we entered into hospitals. And therefore a change was definitely imminent. And I mean, when you think about it, it's a very, very large forum. Countries are working towards this particular change. So in my small way, I thought standardizing some formats, some protocols, some kind of a structured activity is what I began with. And that's how we started doing AAA Healthcare, which now has a vision of developing into an ecosystem that operates hospitals, plans, builds, operates hospitals, and simultaneously develops an ecosystem of creating skill within a healthcare, in this healthcare platform. So that is what my vision of my company is to develop an ecosystem where we have focused, standardized healthcare being delivered, as well as we develop resources that work in a standardized format. So that was my answer to your question.
Thank you very much. Now, coming straight to the theme of the day and diversity, and of course diversity means not just the gender divide as it has always been from historical times, but also a much wider evolving thing. We've seen a lot of evolution. We'll come to that, and maybe I'll draw in the audience as well. But Bindu, where do you see the challenge to be in terms of healthcare for women and the micro issues? Well, let's hear your thoughts on that.
Well, I was just looking at the stats around healthcare coverage. So from a gender density, it's almost equally covered. But coming specifically to claims, it is surprising that 70% of claims reimbursed or approved by insurance portfolios are towards male member. Am I right?
Is it in terms of numbers or the amount?
Both. Okay. So it's almost 70-30. So 70% towards male, and only 30% of claims that were paid were towards female policy holders. I haven't studied deep into why this anomaly is. Maybe we'll have to probably dig deeper into it. Similarly, on the age distribution, if you look at 0 to 5 years, the claims ratio or the claims incidence payout is almost equal to 1 to every 4 member under the 0 to 5 year age, and above 70 it's 1 to 11. And that's a huge gap. And why is this happening? And as a community of health insurers and insurers here, predominantly with a good active female membership of decision makers, it would be interesting to study why is this happening. Ma'am Anamika.
I don't know where you, I'm sorry, but I don't know where you got the statistics. I can just tell you the numbers. In any group insurance policy, if you cover maternity, then 19% of the claims, I would say 56% of your claims come from old parents, which is geriatric. 19% actually comes from the women from maternity, and the rest are all kinds of accidental cases, children, etc. So the number that you're saying about women, I don't think there's a cause to worry. It just could be that the number of accidental cases probably with the men are larger. This is from where you got that?
This is from IIB. If you look at the reference data of last few years, you will find this information.
So it does not speak much about women's healthcare for that matter, because under group policy, and when you consider insurance as a subject matter, we don't differentiate between women, men. Yes, our rating, underwriting, we do consider maternity as a kind of a rating parameter. If a group covers maternity, we do, and women ailments are very well covered, be it the cervical cancer, be it the uterus removal. They are very well
Okay,
covered by the
no, not so much from the insurer's ability to pay a claim. It's from policyholders' awareness to make a claim.
fair. So that
Right.
may not be in the group medical policy because that's very well run. It could be from the Ayushman Bharat side or the state group side.
Yeah, so this is a
But
this
anyway,
is a
this is a,
consolidated
yeah,
this is a
shocking fact.
This is a shocking fact that the claims that gets reported, the women claims are underreported or they are not making enough initiative to cover their expenditure, and that is a serious issue. If the government is working towards getting healthcare access to women more, it is imperative that as stakeholders within our community, we make that process easier for them.
Okay, so thanks. I mean, this is an insight we need to explore, but the fact remains that women remain much outside, where it's a group policy or whatever, that's by virtue of that corporate wanting to cover families or women employees, but on their own, women tend to be left out. And we've seen that also in terms of, we've closely followed the trends in cancer and many other issues that come with that. I'd like to hold that for a moment, but I'd like you to talk to us about, given your involvement in the cancer side of the incidences, what have you found and what does shock you and should shock all of us and wake us up?
So as a company, for the last 3.5 years, we have been doing active work with Tata Trust, which has launched, and we've been a part of this journey where Tata Trust has launched its oncology program for the entire country. So I have some stats with me, and I'm going to look up some stats also with. So essentially, we were at a number of 84 per 1 lakh where cancer, that was the number for prevalence and incidence. Today in 2020, we're going to have this number as 117 with a mortality of almost 8 lakh. So that's been like a huge jump that has been observed in the last less than 2 decades, which is very, very alarming. Now, out of this, it's a very scary story actually, this whole oncology picture, and we've been working around with almost all the states at the center level, at the district level also, and there are a lot of interesting findings that we have. So, to give you an overview, essentially, that India as a country stands number 3 in the world where malignancies are concerned, and we have only for one doctor for every 1,600 patients, new cancer patients that are created. So like an oncologist that is there. So this is the kind of scary stats that this country is going to have. Now what are the causes of it? The causes can be genetic, a genetic trigger that has happened due to our environment, or it can be a lifestyle, it can be obesity. There are multiple factors, and we really need to seriously delve into that. Now, what is the age factor that this begins at? So earlier, about 20 years ago, people thought that, okay, at 50 or something of that sort, the onset of a cancer disease was okay to even to think about it. But now it's gone as low as 24 and 25, which is another scary factor. So that's this overview that is there. What is also there is, and actually I would like to touch a public health topic, but I'll come to that a little later. What is scary is also the rural population, the rural women that we have. essentially the kind of burden that they suffer from in terms of health is cervical, and which is very, very different from what we observe for urban women. So the cervical burden, the oncology burden amongst women is essentially 70% is due to cervical and breast. I have some stats one company had done. Now this is not a published data, but one company had done particular data on breast cancer and the awareness. So essentially, if you look at an entire oncology program, it has to stem, and we have developed an oncology program for Tata Trust, which stems from prevention, awareness, screening, detection, treatment, and then monitoring. So there was one study that covered this entire gamut, and so it was their studies and not a published data, so I'm just bringing that forth. Now, in terms of prevention and awareness, the numbers were as 86% of the women were aware that there is something like and this was a multi-city study kind of thing, and there was some, I think 20% population that belonged to the rural street part. So 80% of the women were aware that there is breast cancer, and 80% thought that they should go in for a health checkup. But that's the prevention and awareness. But 50% of the women didn't even know at what age are we supposed to go in for this health checkup. So that's about the finding in prevention and awareness. Then we come to screening. 25% only went for a screening, and 75% thought they were lazy to go or there was inertia. There's also a very important finding here. 50% were even shy to tell their spouses or their friends, their family, that they wanted to go for this particular screening. So that is about our screening and detection. 65% of this particular population did not even know that mammography exists. Although now mammography is not so much recommended to be done frequently in women, and this is a WHO finding that between 30 to 50 there are a number of times that they have allocated that mammography needs to be done. So the next part is the treatment. Only 70% of the people, of the women were aware that treatment could be done at, in the initial stages, could help them survive much better. Only 70%, and 72% didn't even know that there was some kind of a government or an insurance mechanism. Like we have in Assam, we have an insurance policy that is dedicated towards cancer. We have in Rajasthan, Bhamasha, that is dedicated towards cancer. So women were not even aware about this. So these are the kind of startling and alarming, figures that we have, and we really need to kind of look back and think as to how the government as well as we as citizens need to participate to do something about this huge alarming disease load. We are already world's capital for diabetes or non-communicable disease, and now we are also going to cause an oncology burden to the globe. So that's been our finding across the last 3.5 years. We've carried out some 82 projects across the country, and it's very, very interesting, but it's very, very sad.
Cancer being the 4th largest contributor towards health claims in the insurance space.
Worldwide, or is you talking of India?
No, I'm talking about India too.
Amount it is right. But they are
Right.
the monetary amount. Numbers are lesser.
Yeah. Yeah, so in terms of burden, in terms of value is very high. I was incidentally, I was in Bangalore yesterday on occasion of Women's Day. We were doing a breast cancer screening process, which is a non-radiation technology that's recently developed, and it's being actively used as a preventive screening process for younger women, and this can be conducted on site. So insurers who want to develop women-specific cancer care programs, these are some of the technologies that you should look at and make it available to especially the group consumers. Right.
So thanks. So coming back to the fundamentals of what you just revealed, and rather unnerving as to where our society is headed for. The issue is also further shocking when you see what happens to women in some families, particularly rural India, where I've heard some very, very gruesome stories about women with cancer being brought to Bombay or wherever, Tata Memorial and all, and the male or the family members just abandon them, because for various reasons. They see them as a burden to the family or whatever other things that come in with that. So any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I was also a part of a health administration team for a couple of years, and I've seen some portfolios where women, in cases where women were abandoned because they were detected with cancer, and that would be a huge economic burden on them, on the family. And these are largely women who are housewives. Some of them were working women but couldn't continue working because they were unable to do this because of medical condition. So abandonment due to inadequate financial coverage is an increasing issue among women of all shapes and sizes, whether they are from rural India or from urban India. The financial protection covers not being there is a huge social issue that will emerge, and in a competitive environment like ours, and the economic burden of adequate work not being available to whether it is rural women or urban women. These are social issues that we are increasingly seeing more frequent now. I mean, all of us are dependent on our well-oiled, maid support system. You will find a lot of these issues being brought up to your notice, and it is critical that we, as female working and people with assets, whether that is material or information, reach out and create enough support and awareness program amongst these consumers.
Thanks. So coming back to the root cause again, while we are a very multifarious and diverse society, not all segments of society are as ignorant or as callous about looking after women. How the one subject of exploration for me, and I talk to young parents about bringing up children, how they kind of look at a boy versus girl, and whether some of them treat them as equals. There is a script and a narrative challenge, the way we bring up our children. A lot of stories that we just heard from the keynote speakers and the chief guests were all very positive, so whether the way they were brought up or whether the way they fought it out and broke the glass ceiling. But the fact remains that the girl child is still, even before birth. We had a case study of this project called Nanni Kali, which is run by the Mahindra Group, and at the CII event, there was a very moving presentation of how the girl child, even before the birth, goes through all kinds of trash treatment. I'm sorry to use that phrase, but what do you think needs to be done. And given that we are becoming nuclear families and the societal change that is coming, a woman ends up being a superwoman, or the expectations from all stakeholders, if I may say so, are very high.
See, you're expected to be professional. That means you have to behave in an office, if you're married, like an unmarried, and completely clued onto your job. When you reach home, you're expected to be a mother or a daughter with responsibilities. So the burden of these expectations have created a whole lot of issues. Some of them are mental stresses, and a whole bunch of us who are burdened with the superwoman tag, right? You are expected to behave responsibly, right? You're expected to behave as if you don't have a responsibility at home, and at home you're expected to behave as if your work life does not exist, and that puts a lot of stress. Very few of us are lucky to have the financial support or spousal support or your parental support, but increasingly cities are seeing a lot of nuclear family where there's only a man and a woman staying and a small child. The pressure of running the family, the pressure of having a normal work life is largely dependent on the women. Some aspect of that is changing, but that is a long way off. And I'm sure a lot of us who are sitting here would agree to that fact. Right.
Thanks. So I'll come back to the thread that you've just weaved in. So I've been following the Australian market very closely, obviously for the reasons that the JV partner I work for is a dominant Australian company, and we respect what Australia has been able to achieve with almost 30% of every board of the 6 companies, is women, and that's very commendable. And of course, I'm a critic, and I'm hoping that it will lift the bar further up, and rather than just quantitative, bring in qualitative improvement. We did a survey not too long ago with a management institute, which is also in insurance in North India, called BIMTech, and the study was about corporate governance practices amongst women leaders in the NCR. And what came out was surprisingly, on the insurance side, the level of awareness in terms of the fiduciary responsibilities, which is where the management liability and stuff like that, and I'll provoke my friend Anamika to say something for or against, whatever, but we admire your openness and views as always. But what came out was that despite anonymity that we assured them, many decided not to participate in the survey. And one of the eminent friends, who's a very strong woman leader, said, Praveen, what is the problem? The problem is the confidentiality and the data protection that we don't have in India. So even though you are assuring it, some of them are concerned that if their employers come to know that they had said something which kind of is critical in whatever form, but good for women but bad for the corporate, they could have problems. So these are issues which come time and again, and when it comes to health data or whatever, I would provoke both of you to say something and maybe come on management liability to you. And Ms. Gomti, you can't keep quiet, you must bring out your rich experience of all the explorations on where the health insurance ought to go next. I'll love to hear something from you as well. So what do you mean?
There are no specific regulatory environment which talks more about women and less about the other gender. It's right now evolving policy in making. The healthcare data privacy draft will, I think, hopefully come out by end of this month, and that's what the indication that we have got at 1mg. And being a digital health player, and that's one of a very critical aspect of our economic operations in India. So it does not really talk about what for and what against specific to females, but I think a general comfort that personal information, whether it is part of a group health plan or initiatives related to annual health checkups and those data that is, throws up certain aspect of women's health. That is still a very, very loosely constructed job. So HR communities, leaders, managers, the comfort level of making it a neutral issue has to come from senior leaders within the organization. And I think the human resources, community is making it mandated for players like the associated players like insurers or TPAs or brokers or any kind of healthcare network provider who are executing these programs for companies to be cognizant about privacy issues related to female employee data or generally employee data itself. So that's an evolving space as such as of now. Yeah.
Your thoughts?
So at the hospital level, there are definite protocols. I mean, patient confidentiality, we all know, is a very important aspect. So, and also from the perspective of now we have something which is known as Association of National Accreditation Board for Hospitals. So where we do the accreditation for these hospitals, they have definite protocols in their standards where you are where the hospital is supposed to observe patient confidentiality in a particular manner, and these are standards, these are objective elements that are laid down in the NABH protocols that we say. So every hospital that wants to get accredited at least has to follow these protocols in terms of for the data part of it. And I think that we as AAA are almost working with 70 odd hospitals on these kind of quality improvement programs, and we see a lot of participation from the hospital owner as well as the stakeholders in collaborating for these measures kind of thing. So everybody does recognize now that it is not the way it was earlier, that any patient could be photographed or anything could be put on any social media. Even to put a success of some particular surgery on the social media does require a lot of documentation. So even maybe it's a singular health data point or a broad data, these are changes are happening at least the hospital level.
So this is only at the NABH hospitals, or this is for everyone?
No, this is particularly, I'm talking for NABH. If a hospital
Those are very
wants,
few, yeah.
Yeah, they're only about 500, but the trend is at least changing.
Okay.
We see a lot
Thanks.
more hospitals going in for NABH right now.
Okay. So may I get you into it as a thinker and as a practitioner of health at various levels of the ecosystem in your new avatar as well. Your thoughts on where it is headed, what is the good news and what is the bad news? So, maybe I'll end this. No, it's okay. So we can spare one to you. Then maybe Anamika next.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Praveen, for asking me to articulate my views. I have a lot of, I would say, views and counter views on what I was just listening, both as a person, as a woman working in insurance, as a person who believes in holistic health. I think feminism is fine, and these forums are very encouraging because we are having the, I would say, the nature to stand out and tell that I am what I am and I will succeed the way I am. I don't need to change, right? But when we take the responsibility of both earning for the family as well as taking, we are not going to run away from not having a family, right? It's not the balance is something very, very important, and one rule cannot fit all. So the imbalance itself causes a lot of disease burden on societies, which cannot be treated just by the hospitals and healthcare systems. That's a fundamental role. And I'm a very big believer of the Indic form of doing things. I mean, learning from the West is fine, but I think there are a lot of cultural aspects that are prevalent from our own country where the balance has always been the mainstay. Cancer is something, NCD is something as part of my earlier company we have done a lot of work on, and I think I would say a risk professional who always thinks about where is the balance between cost and, I mean, something not being done and something being overdone. So even if you look at the insurance penetration in the country, we are talking about the top 12, 13 cities giving still 85% of the policies being sold. That's a fundamental reality. I'm a big believer of what RSBY or Ayushman Bharat has done for the country. There are a lot of people who talk about the flip side, but you need to have a start, right? For someone who entered the health insurance side sometime back in 2008-9, I still remember you go and talk to network hospitals about agreeing for a tariff, they'll show you the door. Today you go and talk about setting up a network of PPN, it's not something unheard of. So I think all the stakeholders, it's all about how the balance gets created. And coming back to the NCD and the women health, I think there is a lot more that needs to be done. This is where I think healthcare has to always go hand in hand with education. Absolutely. Education is not the university education we talk about. There are so many things that we carry forward. I mean, I learn a lot from my mother. She's the best doctor I have seen. She's a 10th pass. But always the fundamentals are about how the cooking is done. I completely agree with Anamika's statement that you need to figure out where is the balance. You need to outsource a lot of things. But there's one fundamental belief after 22 years of being in sales, products, I've realized that as the lady of the house, I set the balance of the house. The most important thing for me on earth is my son's health. And what goes, I mean, you are what you eat, right? That's the primary function of any lady, according to me. I mean, by the way, I'm a die-hard salesperson who entered the telecom sector way back in 1996 when they offered me a customer service position. I told, take a walk. I know what I am. And telco in 1990s, I was the only lady salesperson in the whole country. That was 10 years, and now when I talk to my telco friends, they tell, I mean, we never realized what was diversity and inclusion because you never asked for anything to be excused just because of your gender. Gender is, in my opinion, it's in your mind. Everyone respects each other, that's a fundamental thing, but I do realize that you need to give that extra help or supporting hand as a lady to your fellow gender person. Today morning, the first person I wished for Women's Day was my house help. Yeah, she's an amazing person. I think the best thing about being a lady for me is the resilience. You put anyone into any situation, they'll fight and figure out what is a balance that works for their family and for the country. That's the reason why I think every boardroom has to have equal representation, and that offers a lot of, I mean, the narratives that run in the economy should have equal representation from both sides.
Well said.
And
I think we need to put our hands together
absolutely.
For that very...
and that balance is what drives the whole thing. And he for she, for me, I'm a living example of that. My father, my brother, my son, my husband, the other guys who are behind me. And so where is a question of imbalance? I'm not telling everyone has the same life that I have had. To tell you the truth, I'm the first working woman in my whole family. And for me, gender didn't matter. And I studied in all possible rural areas in the country. So today when I look at it, I think it was great opportunities that came my way, and it's my turn to pass it on. So I think many of the speakers have resounded that. But coming back to NCD I think is a lot of imbalance created because of the kind of things that we want to lead, including our ambitions.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Being in frontline, one of the major issues, I don't know whether how many of us speak publicly and within group, it's the way we practice business, how we conduct business, how we transact business. There are a lot of issues that we see in terms of fairness of how these transactions are conducted, and we as critical part of this economy tend to stay silent or get sidelined. And it's important that we raise voices about unfair business practices when we are going out and selling our products and solution to our clients. We should not be encouraging these practices, and that needs to be raised within the organization, and that can come only if we give voice to more women employees within the organization. I think from frontline sales, that's a major concern that I would say needs to be pinpointed.
So, Rashtawar, you had some thoughts on accessibility part.
Yeah. So, thank you so much, Gaunti. And really, I am in sync with your thoughts that do we really need to celebrate such days? And if we need to celebrate this day, then we should also celebrate November 19th, which is International Men's Day. Because we stand here and we talk because there is a lot of support system, including a father who is there, who's pushing us constantly, right? So there's one aspect which I want to bring about in terms of healthcare and inaccessibility, and it's very much in sync with what you said. So essentially, when you look at it in women and healthcare, what WHO has actually done is we have a health system, and this health system has organizations, people and actions who contribute towards restoring, promoting or maintaining health. Now, when you look at a rural setup, woman where she is uneducated, undervalued, less empowered, she's been led to healthcare by another woman who is a primary healthcare worker in our country, who is another under-resourced, under-trained, and that healthcare worker is not even a part of the entire health system planning. So this healthcare worker who is actually making a difference to this lady is itself not a right combination. So that is some combination that we need to change. So women in terms of a health system are contributors to the health system also. In fact, 70% of the women our primary healthcare workers are women, and they are consumers also of this same health system. So there is a balance that needs to be brought between the contributor and the consumer. And in rural, because this balance is totally disturbed and there is no pattern established, we do see inaccessibility in a large way. In fact, we stand at a score of 132 as a country, across 187 for gender inequality in healthcare. That's how low we are. So we definitely, and this is essentially, I'm not only showcasing rural over here, but I also want to talk about the urban women. The urban women, as you very rightly said, go through a dual war. One is at the family side and one is at the work commitment. So her disease pattern in an urban woman is completely different than the diseases that a rural woman is going to have. The disease pattern urban woman has is typically the NCDs, the hypertension, the mental health, those formats of diabetes, which are different than what a rural woman experiences in terms of cervical cancer or an infectious diseases. So this is, I think, but now, earlier on, the policy holders that were the people who used to prepare our policies, they had an approach towards women and health only in terms of maternal health or reproductive health. I think there's this huge change which has come in, which is known as life course approach, wherein the government and the planners who plan our policies are looking at now from the girl child up to post-reproductive health. So it's covering, the policies are covering a whole lot of span of years over there. And the first change was brought about in Andhra Pradesh via this particular policy, which is this policy, there was a scheme that is developed which is known as Mahila Master Health Checkup. This Mahila Master Health Checkup is focused towards all women women who are above the age of 25, they undergo a health checkup for some particular NCD. So this life course approach, which is there, which is a WHO concept, took this change, and it is ultimately culminated into one scheme being developed in Andhra Pradesh. So we need to have many more schemes of these kinds. We can't do with one particular scheme. We just have to develop more on these policies and these planning that are there. So that's what I wanted to share.
Thank you so much. I think that's brilliant. My friend Anamika, we need to hear from you what insurers need to do to lift their game.
And which game, Praveen?
So the game right from
The profitability game or the penetration game?
the entire spectrum that, one is, products for women, two is bringing in more women to sell more to women, and at board levels, and the entire gamut of things.
Okay. Let me first tell you that your statistics were very helpful, and so was yours that why women claim less. Being from a rural background myself, and now working at very grassroots levels because I represent Iffco on the board of Iffco Tokyo. So when we visit there, education is important, plus somewhere down the line we are still living that hierarchical malpractice, should I use the word, that pehle to beto ko do, fir beti ko. This even today, so what happens in the treatment part of it, they think that let the men get the best of everything, be it whatever treatment. Even if the woman is suffering with huge bleeding, huge things, they detest to go to even a primary care center, think agar mera kuch, I don't want to spend on myself. Whatever little resources I have, the allocation of resources for healthcare is still biased towards the male gender. Whether we like or we don't like, this is the reality. Number one. Number two, what can insurance people do? I definitely hail this Ayushman Bharat scheme, and if you really go through the scheme, it's a very good scheme. But my only issue is, which I have been also sounding in many forums, is the implementation of the scheme in its correct nomenclature of providing healthcare. If I don't know how many of you really go, sitting in a Bombay, everything sounds so nice, but actually when you walk those villages, they first and foremost, they don't know the scheme. Secondly, even if they go, there is a midwife kind of a person, plus there is a primary caregiver who visits those primary healthcare center once in a week.
Right.
So therefore you don't get the accessibility. So what should we do as a community to provide accessibility? One of the things that insurance I'm talking in general, is a CSR activity. Could we promote more primary healthcare centers in very, very distant rural centers where healthcare is a challenge for everybody, number one. So as a CSR activity. Number two, can we come up with products? And I think there are insurance companies who have come up with women critical illness as a product which is very thinly priced and yet very good. But did we have takers? We didn't really have takers for that product. In my previous company, we did come up with it about 10 years ago, and the current company that I'm working for also, we are planning to, in fact, we have launched something called a critical illness. Now, why do I emphasize so much on the critical illness? From the statistics that you have given on cancer, and it is a fact that when women suffer from mental problems or a critical illness, they are left at large in the pavements, on the railway stations, below a mandir, you will find them. Because men do not want to care, not because it is a sad situation. It is nothing but allocation of resources on a priority level. Hence, this critical illness policy, if we have so many insurers here, I think it's one of the most brilliant policies one could sell to women. Why? I think a 1 lakh rupees today, that the product that we have just come up with, it's only 250 rupees. So if you say 1 rupee per day, eager up, even if a maid of the house. So where do we begin selling? All of us do have somebody in the house. Instead of giving Diwali bakshish or something, can we start giving out a critical illness policy? Sometime in their life, nowadays all products in health, you can give it for 3 years. So what happens in that case is when they contract these diseases, so they get that money as a benefit amount. Once they get it as a benefit amount, there is no burden on the family for some time. Not that the amount is too large to take care. So whether we have an industry, have a product, we do have, and it is very, very small in pricing, number one. Should we sell it? 100%. But yes, the product doesn't take off because the commission levels are very low and agents or whoever do not find it lucrative to sell it. So how do we position this product is a challenge for the industry, and we should try our best to do this. Number three, as a CSR, I would urge all insurance company that can we allocate some resources to promote primary health care in the rural areas in a way that will also help us reduce our own loss ratios under the Ayushman Bharat scheme. At the end of the day, Ayushman Bharat, whether Modi wins, loses, I think the scheme is going to continue in terms of different names. The Swasthya Sathi scheme in West Bengal is very, very well run. Whatever you call Mamta Di crazy, crack, whatever it is, but the hospitals, what she has done in West Bengal rural is fabulous. So that is one. But if you go to Bhamasha scheme, it is a poorly managed in the rural areas. It is quite well as far as Jaipur, Bhilwara is concerned. If you go to areas like some village, maybe where there is a hamlet, नामो निशान नहीं है उसका, मतलब nobody even knows when you talk about the Bhamasha scheme. Same as if you go to, I would give credit to Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Their schemes are run very, very well. So there are, Odisha, JB Patnaik scheme is running beautifully well. So there are governments who have done a lot. We as insurance company anyway have a CSR fund. Can we also join hands and actually start opening? So if you ask me what have you done, we have spent crores of rupees in our company. We just don't write a 5 crore check and give it to somebody. We actually do health and sanitations. We do huge work with tribals, but I think now we are also going to move to primary healthcare center. Do you know we are going to partner with an organization where we are going to charge 10 rupees for some blood test. They are also funded by somebody who would like to fund some good work in India. Maybe that could be one way to reach out. What should be the commission level? I think regulator also has put a cap, and we had a discussion. They say all other financial products, they get 2%, 1%. Insurance as it is getting 16. But I would think the first year policy of this kind of health insurance should carry 50 to 60% commission. Only then an agent would be, I would say, be encouraged to push the product. We all talk about digital platforms. We say that people, wherein that lady who's firing for her firewood and water will have access to digital sense. It is digital. See, every policy that we are making, ultimately, you know what, my learning has, I would say, gone very fast in the last 2 years when I was working in rural areas. What happens is all that we do is sitting in a closed boardroom, or we are sitting in an air-conditioned room, we talk of digital, this, go and see rural India. This statistics what you gave is so correct. वो सोचता है कि इंश्योरेंस में 5 लाख अगर दिया भी है सरकार ने, but other schemes are 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 50,000. नहीं मैं नहीं खर्च करूँगा. अगर मेरे हस्बैंड को कुछ हो जाएगा तो उसका क्या होगा? If my son falls sick, what will happen? And women keep neglecting. Where do we begin? Let's begin today. On Women's Day, can we all go back and give one gift of a critical illness to one of our maids? Maybe that's where we begin, and how do we spread the word? At the boardroom level, Praveen, if you ask me, maybe we are lucky in an industry, Praveen. I think as a direct recruit, have gone through so much private sector, living abroad, this. I personally haven't faced much of a bias. You may say at your level, right? Down the level, I think it is the leadership's full responsibility to ensure that our women colleagues do not face. And my advice to our women colleagues here, somebody said raise your voice. Somebody said shout out. Somebody said shout for help. There is a book I will recommend today called Lean In, and I think I have read it 100 times by now, and I keep presenting this book. You got to raise your hand to say I am ready. Madam, I think Bhasker said that you must take in what comes in your way. Similarly, when there is something that you are not comfortable about, right? I agree with Praveen. Many people are scared that they may become a scapegoat by their HR head. Somebody would take an offense that it's a reputational issue of my company. Fully agreed. But are there forums where you can actually do? Who is that lady? You got to find somebody who will hold your hand in the organization. You could actually, it could be a man or a woman. Don't always say the women. I'm sorry, but sometimes women can be very bitchy as well. So what happens is this, is that you find somebody with whom you need to confide a bit, learn a way of how to present things. Sometimes what we do out of thinking, I'll present, maybe sometimes there's an error in presentation of the case that we are in. But should you be scared? Should you be afraid that, can I tell you, if you think all this, then don't speak up. If you're willing to take head on, speak up. Are you willing to face the consequences? Yes, then take up. But can I also tell you, we who manage companies are also very scared of these cases. So don't be under any false impression, like I will get affected, you will not. We are more scared than you. Because when it comes to us, we have to give you a solution. And I will also assure you, being in this committee for the last 20 odd years now, a written complaint is good enough. We don't need to even hold so-called investigations anymore. We don't need to. You just have to tell us that this is an issue and we will help you out immediately. Although I may not be in your company, but you are free to reach out to me if you think there is an issue. I will have friends here and there, kon board, kis mein, kahin pe, somewhere we will communicate. Don't worry about it.
Thanks.
But at this,
give you a round of applause.
no, that's okay. But the one fundamental thing is that we, at the leadership level where all the ladies are, we must develop what we call it a health checkup for our own colleagues. And Absolutely. It is not just that at this level. I actually, even the women who come to sweep our bathrooms or the caretakers within the organization, maybe we could begin also to encourage them, and that's what I would like, I am leading now, that we must by force let them take a test. You know why those women don't take? Not only the people like us, the data entry operators, maybe for public sectors it could be news, they are never on unemployment. They're all, in any private sector, our 1/3 employees permanent, 2/3 are contracts. So those ladies, you know why they don't come for a checkup? Usko डर लगता है. क्या डर लगता है? अगर something gets discovered with me, I may get rejected in my house. We have to be the crusaders to give them that comfort, that if something is discovered, we will stand by you as a company to help you, get the treatment done. We have enough hospital tie-up, we have enough ways of how to help the lady to find a good treatment. With network hospitals, we have excellent relationship, all of us, all insurance companies. We can find them some kind of treatment. So let's begin. Let's begin by gifting critical illness. Let's begin by having our CSR money, setting up some primary healthcare centers, maybe 10, 15 in a year. And if I think 30 companies do that, it's a great work for the entire nation as an insurance company.
Thank you very much.
Number 2. Number 3, let's begin from our own offices and try encourage those women who feel allocation of resources should not be towards them but the male member of the family. पर उनको आप एक ही चीज समझाओ, अगर आपकी तबीयत ठीक रहेगी तो आप दूसरा का भी केयर कर सकते हो. And one thing as a woman, let me tell you, love yourself the most. The moment you love yourself the most and taking care, you will be able to share it with everybody. अगर खुद घुट के बोलोगे कि नहीं, I will give everything away, then you will be so unhappy, then you will keep cribbing about mother-in-laws and sister-in-laws and father-in-laws and my husband doesn't take. Who needs the husband to take care? Take care of yourself. That's most important. Take care of your health. It is the primary thing, right? Thank you, Praveen.
Thank you so much. So, Mr. Jain, may I just quickly conclude this? You will allow me 5 more minutes so that we can just wind this up. Sorry, it's gone beyond our control, but then we ruin all these gems. So, maybe 2 of my panelists have a quick word to say. So a quick fire thing, if you have something to say, you need not.
So, I think one of the things that probably would help a lot of us who are ambitious, who wants to grow in our jobs and be considered as valuable asset in the ecosystem, I think would be keep it close. Yeah, I think that would be. I think my first preference would be helping with managing conflict, mental health support within the organization, because managing stress is an issue, and that results in a lot of other situations which may relate to your promotions, your ability to do work, ability to handle clients, pressures, all of that. So mental health would be the primary.
Most companies have started this now. There's an anonymous helpline where you can actually reach out. You don't have to go to the company. There's a number, and you can actually talk to a psychologist at the end. I don't know. I don't know that.
It's called the Employee Assistance Programs.
It's not as pervasive as it ought to be.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bindu.
But
is there anything else? So
that's
Great.
one.
Yeah.
The second would be about fair business practice, and I think it is critical for us to do that.
You mean
give
fair
that
to women?
Fair to women, fair to business. Do not encourage bad practices.
Ethics, basically.
Ethics.
Good. Thanks. So, Rasika, you have any parting thoughts?
One is, I would go with what Anamika madam has said. Just love yourself, treasure yourself, and it will pave its own way. That's what I want to say in the short time. That's it.
Great, thanks. So there are lots of things that are happening which extend or blur the lines of gender divide and whatever. So one is gender fluidity. We are seeing in our society as well. There are some men who believe they should have been women, and vice versa, and that population is growing, and we'll have to deal with that, and how insurers deal with that is something that needs to be seriously addressed, and it's trauma and mental health becomes a major issue. The other one is, of course, the bigger, larger issue is climate change, and climate change, while we can keep on discussing about it, impacts women more than men, and that is something that needs to be addressed. And I've been into that subject for a very long time, much before it became fashionable. But we need, as insurers, to address it, because we don't not only insure things which cause climate change, but we also invest in things which cause climate change. So that's a serious threat to insurers' long-term sustainability. Third one was another random one, which is clinical trials. A lot of clinical trials in the early stages were only performed on men, and again we need to bring in diversity, because if you have to bring in effective efficacy, you have to bring in more spread there. Autonomous cars. Now I was reading yesterday or day before that it's more likely to hit people with dark skins rather than fairer skins. Now that's a bias that comes in from programmers to the artificial intelligence or whatever. Artificial intelligence can be as naturally dumb as human beings because that percolates down. So we need to be mindful that with all these technologies coming into the fold of insurers, we need to be ensuring we don't propagate that and learn from the markets which are ahead of us. And last but not the least, another favorite theme for me is the solution for Me Too is not selling D&O insurance. It's about bringing in a culture that...
But sir, it's gone up a lot.
Yeah, it's gone up. So I'm not saying don't recognize it, but I'm saying it doesn't get mitigated by selling D&O. You need to fix the culture in the organization. So we can go on and on, but thank you very much for giving this opportunity. If there are any questions, one last opportunity, if there is anything, please raise your hand. With these panelists, you can see them offline as well. But thank you very much, Mr. Jain and the group for the patient listening and this opportunity. May you keep this going and be the torchbearer. Not many in the industry have taken the initiative, but I'm sure you'll keep building on that. Thank you very much. And thank you, my panelists. Thank you.
And thank you, Praveen ji, Dr. R. Viren, and Mrs. Bindu, and I personally thank more for to Praveerji to make this as a more attractive and more this one by involving Anamika and Gomti madam into this discussion. Now we go further. Now we will be having our next speaker, Mrs. Usha Girish. She is a DGM with United India of Insurance. May I request her to be on the stage? She is a first rank holder in pre-degree examination equivalent to 10+2. There was a course introduced by the government and the Mumbai University wherein 10+2 they were having this one subject. It was a Kerala University. It was all over India it was done. And that was with the insurance subject in that. And she's a rank holder with that. She is a chartered accountant, entered the insurance industry at the age of 22 years as an administrative officer. Recently, as DGM, overlooks the entire function of RO1 Mumbai in United India. We welcome you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So I came in a little late and I thought I had missed a lot of things because the panel discussion and Gomati's and Madam Anamika's, all that was really interesting. 8th of March, yes, we have one day marked in the calendar now out of 365 days. That is again debatable whether we need only one day. What about the 364? Are those men's days? I will leave that for the time being. But yes, when you look at it, Women's Day, the start has been from the beginning of the 20th century in US, in Europe, in Germany, Austria, Denmark, and in Russia, which Machit has come to be recognized. The fact is that women have been underprivileged, and we had to fight with demonstrations and negotiations and all to bring us to get the rights and things like that. Today we have come a long way off, but just like the speakers were saying, are we still there? The themes of the International Women's Day itself will show that there is more to go. And probably today, like again, many of us have said, we may be representing the successful team of women. But I would say Women's Day is for those countless women out there who are unnamed, but who still, in spite of the different circumstances, are getting on in their life, fighting, taking along with them every circumstance and going ahead with it. And we should be there when we are here. We should be, maybe even when I look at myself, see, traditionally in the Indian society, we have that, yes, all of you were also speaking. Right from the time we are born, there is some sort of a restriction for the girl child as compared to the boy child. I also have a son and a daughter, and I myself know I have been guilty, at least at times, having forbidden my daughter. Call it by whatever name. Maybe it was the overprotectiveness, maybe it was a motherliness, maybe it was for security purposes, but whatever it was, I have been guilty of restricting my daughter's movement as compared to my son. So, by that, what happens is there develops in oneself that a sort of timidity, a sort of shyness, where she's open, where she's comfortable with her friends, she speaks out. But when it comes to an open forum and when there are males around, probably she sometimes feels, okay, let them talk. We have to be silent. We have to be that way. In fact, I can tell you, I was a very quiet person when I joined the company. And yes, they read out my biodata. I was a first rank holder. I had a lot of confidence. I thought I had. My parents have been very supportive. My father has been free in allowing us to choose whatever we want. After marriage, my husband also has been supportive. And of course, we have our fights, but still, he has been supportive very many times, especially when it comes to a promotion exercise or when it comes to transfer. He has been supportive. And in spite of all that, I remember the first times I used to participate in a discussion, I used to be very quiet. But sitting like that, and I was in the accounts department initially, so I used to listen, and I used to find that people whom I knew were less knowledgeable than me, speaking out so very confidently. And of course, and it was not always right. Then slowly, I began countering that, and I found out that group, which consisted of males, they were listening to me. It was just my thing that I thought I shouldn't be speaking. When I started speaking, I found that I was being listened to, and my arguments were being accepted, and thus I created a space for myself. So the important fact is, yes, if you are out there to compete, you have to be knowledgeable. You have to have that inherent, whatever that, for competition, you have to be equal. We are for balance, for power. So you have to have you have to equip yourself with the basic knowledge. And then out there, you don't have to be really afraid of what you're speaking out. Like I was really with Gomati, who said, respect comes by itself. You don't have, there is no gender discrimination. And again, I have been part of the IBAI scheme and all that in Kerala, where we are supposed to be an educated lot. Again, I have gone around villages. I have been to panchayats. I have seen the poor, the needy who needs the treatment. And everywhere I found out that I am actually becoming more communicative and more acceptable by them than my male counterparts. Because in males, I think, there is a certain, they don't want to let go of their probably manliness or whatever. But when we go out, we speak openly, we speak with sincerity, and there is a lot of acceptance. And so that way, in Kerala, I was able to do that IBAI scheme effectively. There was a lot of utilization. You could see that the real and the needy were really getting into it. But that apart, today I have been asked to speak on whether communication and leadership is really different when it comes to has a real different approach when it comes to males and females. And thinking about it, I think it does, because mainly studies have proven that men use the left side of the brain. They are rational, they are logical, they reason out everything. Women are found to use both hemispheres of the brain, which brings a balance. And even now, I sometimes feel, however grim the situation, when we have some critical meetings, I still sometimes link some individual with their personal things also. And the way he speaks, I sometimes get into his shoes, and I know why he is reacting that way, and that makes me manage them much more effectively. So the difference basically is, and that I think stems again from, if I had said that those restrictive things were there as girls when we are born itself, I think from that time itself we are groomed into taking care of everybody at the home, playing the different roles, multitasking, flexible, adaptability, all this is groomed into us from day one. So the disadvantage there actually becomes an advantage when you come into that, provided you use it sensibly. The thing is, when on a domestic front and an official front, it will be different. Today in my office, for any meeting, I may be expected to be speaking first, but still at my house, where my in-laws or my husband, when all of them are, I am the quiet person who will listen to the others and then speak only when spoken. And not really, not very traditional or anything like that, but still, I wouldn't be doing what I do in office there. So, and it doesn't really matter also, as long as you're comfortable. What you should be is, you should be comfortable with yourself. There is, like Madam Anamika was saying, you love yourself in the sense you don't have to be a superwoman. How many of the men are really supermen? Except in the TVs and films, you don't really find any superman. So you don't have to be a superwoman. Yes, you were not able to do something, but you have done so much of other things there. You might not be the best cook. You might not have been able to take care of one of your child's thing, but you have done so many things. It is not to gloat over that we should be saying that. It is not to be taking concessions that we should be saying that. But at the end of it, realize that we are all doing our best, and it is better than many of the best that our males may be doing. Nothing against the males. I am not a feminist, and I know even for the rise that we all say, it is to the male colleagues and the male members in our family also that we'll have to thank ourselves for. So it is nothing on gender basis. It is how we perceive ourselves and how we take it across. And in leadership, yes, you will have to create a path for yourself. It is easier for us because once you are out of that, once you know you have to succeed, you have undergone no challenges, so you will find that you can excel at a easier level on the top. I think that's it. I want to keep my speech short and sweet. That's up to you to decide. But I shall take, if there are any questions, I will take them. And before I wind up, let me thank the insurance alerts, Usha Jain and Vivek, who has been after me for this. They have given me an opportunity to interact with all of you here and to hear the different views. And sometimes, even though I said at the beginning that one calendar day alone is marked, I feel there should be a focus like this where we are then called and invited and we meet and exchange our different views. So thank you all so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful speech. Now, our next speaker will be Gomti ma'am. We have already heard her, so I don't think so we need more introduction for her. She is a vice president with KM Dastur Reinsurance Brokers, having over 2 decades of experience in the insurance industry. She has been a speaker in various events, including the World Health Summit. So I'll request you, ma'am, to be on the stage. I think we are running out of the time, so I'll just request everyone to be more cooperative in all the things. Thank you.
I thought one favorite topic for me is not just in insurance, right? Sales as such, as a domain, it's seen as a man's club. How do we women get into it is a fundamental question. When I started off my career, I mean, especially my B school days, I still remember when I chose marketing as my stream, most of my seniors came and advised me, it won't suit you. So I was like, I thought, okay, could make sense. I'm very up to the point. I can speak out the mind, and your designation doesn't have any impact on me. The President of India will get the same treatment that I give it to my house help. So these are some fundamentals which could go really wrong when it comes to choosing your profession, right? So my seniors really advised me. And at that point of time, when I was passing out, it was 1996, a lot of jobs were there only in sales. And I had this ambition that I should support my brother's education, who was getting into engineering stream after that. And sales was the only stream where you could actually decide what you earn, because the incentives were there. And I just went with the flow. And I don't regret any bit of it. Not because the life that I led in the last 22 years was easy. I mean, think about the scenario. I still call insurance sales as white-collar sales. I come from a retail sales background where many of the distributors and locations that I handle will not have toilets. Fundamental necessity. And the telecom operates in a manner where you start your day at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. You'll be handling multiple locations. You'll be going through your beat plan, and there will be hardly sales target follow-up calls. You can't close your day till your numbers of that day is met. Whether you want to go through that life is a choice always that you make, right? It's not gender dependent. But at that time and point, it was availability of jobs, and also I come with a clean slate, right? I don't have a bias. If there is a job, it gives me a position and power. I used to always tell, I still remember the first interview I gave. I told them, give me the position, give me the package, I'll go and work in Antarctica. How does it matter? So these are some fundamentals that gets wired inside you. It is not gender dependent, it's not industry dependent. But it comes with the conviction that you do what you do because you really like the purpose why you're doing it. It could be economic independence, it could be impacting the lives around you. These are the fundamentals with which you start progressing in life. And then comes then you suddenly, when you're getting into middle management, you start realizing that there is a lot of inequality in the way choices are made when it comes to promotion decisions, and also the kind of responsibility you're given. How do you handle them? There are 3-4 fundamentals which I think got wired very early in my life into this. I mean, if it is of any help, I thought I'll share this with you. The first one is, I think mobility as a factor is very important for anyone, for any profession. Especially so for ladies if you want to succeed in your career. Mobility, I'm even talking about owning a two-wheeler. That's the first form of mobility, right? Mobility in form of going out to places without having to be accompanied. So these are fundamentals which doesn't need to come from anyone. It's your own right? I mean, there are some people who are comfortable with it. There are some people who are not comfortable with it. I think you need to go with what your personality is. But mobility as a factor for career progression is something I have always seen it's a very huge tool for success. The second one is level-headed communications ability. I think I'm a heart person. I don't prepare for my sessions. I speak after looking at some data on what I think is right. And I change my views if someone gives me data points to show that you can look at it this way as well. Could be to do with gender because I'm able to listen to both sides, but it also puts a lot of strain on me and my confidence levels. Because at every point you revisit your decision made a few years back, someone will tell that, oh, fickle-minded. That's something which goes with ladies who are in good positions, right? But I mean, what who cares about it? There are decisions to make, and there are people who have to stand with their decisions, right? At the end of the day, one thing I have learned is follow your heart. Head is important, definitely, but how you feel about each of the situation is more important than anything else in life. The third point I always feel is, I think ladies as salespeople is very, very effective. In my earlier company, that is in Swiss Re, I mean, that was the first company I started working with ladies. I mean, let me tell you that. The first, I think, 15 years of my life, I've only worked with men because it was predominantly telecom sales. And I didn't know how it was to work with ladies. The first time I started working with ladies, it was quite, I would say, unnerving, because there was so much of emotions and there was so much of to and fro which was happening, which I was not used to. So the stability that I got in the earlier years wasn't there. And a lot of emotions when it comes to business decisions is also a problem. And we need to live with it. That's when I realized I had some great women leaders who were my bosses. I learned one thing very clearly. Evolution is something which we need to give time and grow into. I mean, if I'm a first generation lady stepping out and working, I will behave in a particular way. If I had a daughter and she's working, she'll behave in the next way. I mean, you start with LKG, right? You need to go into 5th standard, 10th standard and thereon. And that's something which we need to be conscious of. Even the women leaders we work with, I think too much of focus should not be given on. I mean, there's a lot of micro watching on how they do take their decisions, how successful they are, how aggressive they can be in decision making, etc. I mean, we don't need to be so judgmental. There has to be some amount of supportive elements that is required. So for me, evolution is an important part. If you are the third generation woman who's working, you will be better evolved than the first generation woman. I mean, let's take it. We need to grow up as we evolve in life. And the fourth part is, I think I completely believe in the Lenin concept of raising your hand. When you get an opportunity, good, bad, or difficult, don't worry about it. There are, every 3 years, I believe that you have to reinvent yourself. Step out of your comfort zone. That's a very difficult one, because you will be going through various parts of your life events as well, right? Initially you'll be single, you might get married, you might be a mother. But even when these things are happening at home, I think when it comes to the business front, you need to raise your hand and pick up something. I believe that 3 to 5 years, you need to keep reinventing, keep changing your fields. That makes you, one thing is it gives you a very holistic viewpoint, and it also allows you to fail. You can't be always successful, right? You stay humble because you fail, and then again you become resilient because you have the ability to rise up. So these are a couple of points which I think every lady, I always tell all my cousins who are going to get married, I tell their parents that give them a chance. I mean, I think it's their birthright. Nobody decides when I get married, right? I choose to get married. Give them a chance to work. Without working, I think they should not get married, because one thing is they become more balanced. Second thing is you need to do your own stuff. Then you know how difficult it is to earn your bread and butter. So thanks a lot for the opportunity. Enjoy your day.
Thank you, madam, for your wonderful speech. And it was really very encouraging. I can share with you also one of my that when I came to my in-laws' house when I got married, my sister-in-law, my husband's sister, was not allowed to go to the college. That was a conservative family where I was a working woman, working daughter-in-law. You can imagine what was the challenges. But as she said, you have to accept the challenges and you have to come up. And this is what we have to do. Now I will request Lalita Bhatia to be on the stage. She will be giving us on the position yourself for a successful career in insurance advancement tips. She is a CEO, IBAI Federal Life Insurance. She is CA from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, economics graduate and MBA in finance from University of Madras, having 29 years of experience across the BFSI sector. This is all for you, ma'am.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I think I'm keeping you from your lunch and also hearing all these wonderful speakers. I actually had bought a presentation, and then now I realize it's better to speak from the experiences which we have, because all you ladies actually don't need tips on how to succeed in insurance. You are successful yourself. As I was hearing all of you speak, what I realized is that all of us were blessed to come from families where we received the support. And I think we were lucky, and I think owe all my help which I got from my father. My father was much ahead of his time, and I'm a second generation working woman in my family. My mother was actually a manager in a bank, and I could see all the hard work which she put in. So for me, working hard was natural. And my father, he treated both my sister and my brothers equally. I mean, we did not face any difference. So I think some of the success which we see is because of the environment and our family environment which we received. I feel it is very important that in future we make the environment conducive for our children and our daughters to come into our companies. Because, I mean, even when we look at other success stories around us, it's all about support received from families. Very few people talk about support received from your organization or a growth path which somebody else helped you on. And I think that is where I feel as women, some of the tips which I picked up were all along watching some of the senior members in the industry, like somebody mentioned Shikha Sharma. Ma'am, I mean, I used to admire her for a lady to be a CEO in a life insurance, Those days, I used to watch that she had taken the company to be one of the top 5 companies in the insurance sector. So I think you watch the role models, and I personally, what I have used over the years to be successful basically is collaborate. I think you have to collaborate with your colleagues. You have to collaborate also within your family, and you will find that people will help you. It's only that most of the time in our effort to be superwoman, we feel shy of asking help. And there are times like, in the month of March is one of the toughest months for any life insurance professional. I mean, especially since I had operations, it's like new business, underwriting, claims, everything peaks in the month of March. So even when Mr. Jain asked me, like it's an 8th of March, I said, it's March. I mean, I can't spare a full day. But then I realized I'm glad I came here, because it's good to hear so many success stories and see how women have actually made paths for themselves and how confidently they have actually managed the challenging situations. I feel we should collaborate, we should ask our colleagues for help, we should not shy away, and some of you are very lucky you've had, female bosses and colleagues. For me, I have never had them, and I actually yearn to have a female management team colleague, which I had for a short time, because sometimes it's very lonely for a woman to be a part of the management team and just, not have any male, the women to, share your points with. You cannot share it with your team, because you cannot show them the problems which you are undergoing. So you actually have to manage it all yourself. You also have to be very different. I think we tend to follow the same path, and we try to be fitting into a lot of systems. We should not do that. We have to be different. I mean, when ma'am read out my CV, you would have seen I was a finance professional. And for me, when the CEO at that time asked me to head IT, it was actually very difficult for me, because I said I don't know anything about IT, because I'm not an IT professional. And I mean, IT is, I felt was very, very technical. So he said, I said, I will try to do my best. He said, no. So when somebody shows faith in you, you have to ensure that you live up to their expectations. And then I entered IT, which was so, very, very technical area. And then today I'm able to, feel very proud about it that we were able to introduce a lot of things which were technologically very important in the company. Like we introduced tabs for our sales, we did the customer mobile app, we are now working with bots and artificial intelligence, we did data analytics. Persistency is one of the biggest challenges for any insurance company, especially life. And we realized that instead of you doing carpet bombing and calling all your customers to pay renewals, it makes sense to actually do analytics and see who are the guys who are going to pay on time, don't disturb them, and chase the guys who have the propensity to lapse. So you slowly learn that you can actually use technology to help yourself. So that is something I think we all should use it. We bring in the human touch, that is definitely there, but there are areas of repetitive work which you can actually use technology and pass it on to them, and focus on solutions and not problems. The bosses don't expect you, or your colleagues don't expect you, and women, we are conditioned for that. We know how to handle problems. We will even go with solutions. We will say, okay, do you want this, do you want that? And that I think makes us very easy to manage difficult situations. And this I think should be the focus, that whenever we are faced with challenges in our professional life, we should actually look at solutions, and we should always accept responsibilities. And time management, I don't need to say anything. Most of us are actually very good at time management, but I think it's very important for women to understand the urgent and the important. There would be colleagues who would like to drop in to chit chat, and they would want to just gossip a bit. So I have learned my own techniques how to escape that. I just get up from my room and say, okay, I have a meeting to go to, and then I go. Because these are time thieves which actually eat into your time in the office. So you have to learn techniques how you will manage your time. You have to learn to say no to meetings which you don't are needed. I have a simple rule: if there is a meeting to which my number twos are attending, then I would expect them to take decisions or whatever and update me. I do not want to sit in the same set of meetings where my number twos are also sitting, because you are actually then not delegating and you're only duplicating the effort of the whole this. So we keep simple rules to do time management. And most important thing, which I think I picked up from my childhood, was my father making us read. And I feel there's nothing like sharpening the saw, which is Stephen Covey's habit, which I continuously keep, and I believe it with my heart, that we should always update ourselves. We should read. We should be updated not only in what is our own areas. Like, you don't have to read all about insurance. You could read about how other industries are doing. You could read autobiographical books. And you could read self-development books. And ma'am talked about lean in. I mean, when you read those books, it gives you a very different insight into how others think, how other women overcome those challenges, and to see that America also had the same set of challenges which we have in India. I mean, it is quite an eye-opener where we think that certain privileged nations don't have that kind of issue. And so I think that is very, very important. And we should also ensure that we are all financially independent. I think earning money and saving money are two different things. Most of the time when we earn money, we tend to spend it frivolously. So we have to learn that when we save money, and that gives us the financial freedom to make career choices. Because I have seen colleagues who are, who want to jump, because now they say, oh no, that company is giving me a 20% jump, and I have EMIs to pay, and I have this to do. So those are things, I think, don't fall into that trap of not focusing on your career, but focusing on the money and jumping for money. I think you should see what gives you satisfaction. And being in insurance, I tell you, there's no big satisfaction, because we are in life insurance. The customer is not there. The customer's family is where we pay the claim. Because all of you, when you speak of general and health, you are actually paying the customer. We pay the nominee of the policy, and there you need a lot of empathy, and nothing gives you more satisfying this when they, the parent or the wife or this, thank you for the service which you have given and how you have helped them to settle the claim. And I can tell you, settling the claim turnaround time, these are things you can make a difference in people's lives. So that is where, if you enjoy your work, especially, you realize that you can make a difference to people's lives, and we should help others. And the best way in operations, which the area which I head is, you ensure that your claims are paid in time, you have the lowest number of customer complaints, and you ensure that you do not unduly delay, or people put investigations. So generally I have always ensured that most of our claims are not beyond 1 month, and for our public disclosures we always ensure that, because that claim is the ultimate moment of truth. So as a woman, it gives me greater pleasure to see that when customers are happy and then write you thank you mails for doing things which actually are part of your job. We are paid to do the work, but then it gives you great satisfaction. So it is very important that we continue to ensure and make things easier for the future generation. In our company, I just want to say that we have started a group called Women Power, where all the women actually in the group, and I'm very sorry to say there's a big gap between women at the top, and then there's a middleman, and there's a huge gap, and then you have junior girls who are still in their starting of the career. So what happens is, unless you support them to actually go through life stages and actually reach the middle management level, they will not be able to reach. So we have done a lot of stuff for women employees. We have flexi hours, which makes them easy for them. Recently for ladies who have children, as when they're in employment, we give a childcare allowance of 4,000 rupees per month, so it makes it easier for them. We have, for mental health, and I think there was a good point which was raised. A lot of women bear a lot of double, the stress on themselves. So we have a counselor who actually comes into our office, and the women can actually book appointments, and it's confidential. So they just go and they meet the counselor, so it helps. And on medical tests, for women, we have a lot of medical tests which are done, like thyroid. There are different tests which are done over a period of time. You have dietitians, like today is Women's Day, so we have a dietitian coming over and explaining. So those are things, as women, if we can organize in our own companies. And one very good point was made on CSR, like, if we can, where we also spend on CSR, you can actually help other women come up. So I think all of us, because we are in leadership positions, we should actually take it on ourselves to even help the junior teams in our companies to come up and bridge the gender gap. And I'm sure as women, we will make a bigger contribution to our country and the society when we do that kind of this thing. And today our success is mostly due to the environment in which we are in, and we need to create a bigger environment for the country to help women to grow further. Thank you.
Thank you, Lalita ji, for your good speech. Now let us go for the most awaited function of the awards presentation. Okay. So first we will be starting. Ma'am Anamika, be on the stage. She will be the winner of the Woman Achiever of the Year 2018. And I'll be requesting Praveen Gupta to honor her with this award. Please be on the stage, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We well deserve it.
Oh my God.
Madam, would you like to say 2 words?
I think they're bored.
Okay. Now I will invite Lalita Bhatia. She will be the best woman CEO of the year 2018. And I'll be requesting Ms. Lisa Jeffery to present the award. Ma'am, be on the stage. Let's have the pic. Lalita ma'am, you cannot go away. You have to wait for another 2 minutes. May I request Ms. Usha Girish to be on the stage from United India? She is winning the Best Woman Regional Manager of the year 2018, and I'll request Lalita ma'am to present the award to her.
It's an honor to present to you.
My honor. Thank you so much.
Both of you, would you like to say something?
We have spoken enough.
Okay, thanks, Ila. Thanks, ma'am. I'll request Supriya Rathi to be on the stage. And I'll request Usha Jain, who is organizing entire this event today, taking a lot of pain to present this award to her. She is winning the award as a Best Principal Officer of the year 2018. Supriya, would you like to say something?
I'll keep it really, really quick because it's lunchtime and we're all running late. And, it's been an absolute pleasure to be amidst, all these luminaries and some of my very close friends from the industry, including Ms. Giresh, of course, Anamika, my colleague, Ms. Porwal. We've just covered such an entire array of topics here relevant for women and insurance at large, that it's been, of course, enlightening. I think I share the common theme that everyone has spoken about, and really something that really I feel very strongly about is that we really, really have to have that confidence and love for ourselves. And it all begins with that. And once we are able to do that and come out of the confines of, gender bias and all of that, because a lot of those things are in our own minds. Genetically, it's been proven that, men are from Mars and women are from Venus and all those cliches that we've heard, it's absolutely true. And, and there's a genetic reason for why we are wired differently, but that's really how, beautifully the world complements each other and genders complement each other, and that's why diversity is not only good, it's important. It's important because otherwise, if we're talking about men only and women only and, women only teams, then we are succumbing to maybe mediocrity because we're not letting market forces really drive, business. And so, this was a part of my speech, but I'm going to keep it really short because the advantages of speaking last is that, most of the ground is already covered. And so I'll just end with that, as an entrepreneur, I didn't choose to do insurance. It fell in my lap. I was a finance professional and I came into a business family. And that was the time that the insurance sector was getting privatized. So the opportunity came up to look after that business. I was very young and had 1.5 years of experience in an MNC in finance. That was my passion. But, really it was about putting up your hand and saying, okay, you know what, somebody from the family has got to start this, and is it going to be you? So that's really how I started insurance broking. And, it's been a spectacular journey. Talking about women in business and, broking really is geared towards, everything's about marketing, and that's the reason that you exist. Whether you're a claims rep in the team or you're the business development person or you're the underwriting person, really the goal is sales oriented and business development oriented. And I'm really proud to say it, not by design, but more than 50% of our sales today are driven by women. And really, again, it was market forces, and it just happened to be that way. But I think in terms of how we're wired, and everyone's spoken about empathy here, it is the single most characteristic which really defines how successful you can be in an insurance sale, because it's so much about playing on emotion. And it is so much about really getting into the client's shoes and being able to understand what the client needs, not just today, but over the long term, because you're selling an intangible. You're selling a promise to make good something in the future, which is why the client really needs to trust you, and you really need to be empathetic. And also, like, and all of these themes have been mentioned, the importance to collaborate. Because a person in business development cannot do this alone. Year on year, you need claims, you need underwriting, you need servicing, all of them to come together to support you. And as a woman, you need your family to support you. As a woman, you need your colleagues, both juniors and seniors, to support you. Which means that the collaboration skill becomes so truly important. So I think, we really, really my motto is, carpe diem, seize the day. We've really got to focus on our strengths, which we're doing wonderfully in insurance, with all of you luminaries here. As well as, today we've got CEOs like GIC Re has, a string of senior management led by women. We've got Anamika here, who's really made a mark in Bajaj and now Iffco Tokyo as a full-time director. And, whether it's Ms. Mukherjee in National, Ms. Bhatia, today we're seeing women in leadership like never before. And we've only just scratched the surface. Even in life insurance, right now we've got about 25% of the agency which is women. But around the world, that figure is about 45 to 50%. So we've got a long way to go. And really it starts with belief in ourselves and to focus on our positives. We've all got obstacles, we've all got things to deal with, but so do the men. So let's just get on with it. Let's celebrate each and every day as Women's Day and feel empowered, and thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. I will invite Sanhita Katyal to be on the stage. And I will request Mr. Vaibhav Jain to present her the award. She is a Vice President Legal with the Max Life Insurance Company, and she is getting the award as the Best Woman Legal and Compliance Officer for the Life. Would you like to have 2 words, ma'am?
Hi everyone, it's my privilege to be here, and I just want to share a little incident. I was flying in Jet Airways this morning, and they had an all-women service, so which meant right from the ground staff to the technical operations, the pilot, co-pilot, cabin crew. So that's the spirit of womanhood. Keep it up.
It must be a pride moment for you. May I request Dipti Rastogi to be on the stage? She is a Senior Vice President, Compliance and Corporation Affairs with Apollo Munich Health Insurance Company. And I'll request Usha Giri to present her the award. She is winning the Best Woman Legal Compliance Officer for Health. Would you like to have 2 words, ma'am?
I veto the same, thoughts which every woman has spoken today.
Okay.
I think I sincerely believe that it's very important for each one of us to believe that we are bold. The moment we start believing that we are bold, the world will follow us. So that's what I just want to say, and I think, thank you for this. Thanks a lot.
I'll request Mona Mathur to be on the stage. She's a CFO with the Shriram General Insurance Company. And I will request Anamika to present as the award. She is winning the Best Woman Financial Officer for the year 2018. See, this is what the insurance alerts. The people are coming from Jaipur also, and they have been recognized also for that.
Thank you and congratulations.
Would you like to have a few words, ma'am?
I thank you for this award. I would like to say that women are inherently strong. Everybody knows that. Only they need to know the cause and have a will to succeed and face the challenges. Once they've decided, nothing can stop them. Happy Women's Day. Thank you.
Now I think this is a time for the lunch. So we will break for the lunch, and after half an hour we'll again reassemble here. There are some 3-4 speakers whom we have to listen. What way you feel, or let us finish it up? Can we just delay the lunch for half an hour and finish it up? Yes. That will be the better choice. So let us now invite the next speaker. Now I think the speaker who will come will also feeling little hungry. So they will also be little fast in doing the things. So what's the people said, yes or no? Let's continue, correct? Okay, so now I will call Vatsala Sameer on the dais. She will have that position yourself for a successful career in insurance advancement tips. Ma'am, the stage is for you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Vatsala. I'm the Company Secretary with Canara HSBC OBC Life Insurance. So I'm coming here from the life insurance perspective. I worked with Max Life before that. Thank you, Insurance Alerts, for the opportunity. It's a privilege. And thank you, everyone, for the kind audience just before lunch. So what I'm here to speak about really is about tips for advancement in the career with insurance. But I believe we've heard some eminent ladies, some precious ladies who've been at the helm of their the matters in their respective companies. And ma'am, while it's not written here, it really has been a privilege and an honor to listen to all of you and an inspiration. So thank you for that. If I may just go back to some basics as to what really is needed for a successful insurance career, for all the wonderful ladies who are sitting at the back and probably just starting their careers or thinking of starting their career with insurance. One, I feel very important is understanding the business. When I joined Max Life about 12 years back, I was lucky enough to have a manager who would send us on sales calls with agents, although I was in a support function, not a customer-facing function, but I was made to go on sales call with the agents as part of my orientation, which made me connect to the business better, which made me handle or in fact come face-to-face with the challenges that my company faces on an everyday, sitting in an office, it's very easy. But for an agent to be on the street and, kind of selling business, because it's a push product and not a pull product, is difficult. And unless and until you value that, you will not be able to value your contribution that you're making to the company sitting in a support function. So I believe understanding the business is really, really important. And that helps you understand what does your company stand for, where do you stand in the journey towards success of your company. Second, something which everybody has spoken about since the morning is people skills. Insurance is nothing but it's a relationship industry, I believe, and a lot to do with people, trust. So when a customer buys a product from you, he's not getting anything in hand. Sometimes the customer is not getting anything at all, because in life insurance, unfortunately, he's not there in the families who we serve. So sharpening your people skills, and at the time of sales, making sure that the person who's taking the insurance policy from you trusts you and trusts your company. The trust in the company would come only by the way you build the trust for the customer, because he is not going to be in touch with X Life Insurance Company Limited. The customer or the family is going to be in touch with you as a person. So it's very important that you sharpen your people skills. And that surely is a key to success in the insurance industry. Third, I can say from working in the support function for the past 12 years, leveraging technology and innovation. I believe insurance is an ever-evolving industry. The to-do list that you start with in the morning doesn't remain the same by the time you close the day, end of the day. And unless and until you're on top of things and thinking ahead of what others are thinking by a better technology so as to bring in customer delight, faster processes so as to bring in agility, which will make your company stand out, you will not shine. So what I'm trying to say is that it's really important that you bring in an out-of-box thinking. You bring in ideas, wherein your company would help benefit from your thoughts and processes. Fourth, I would like to say is on enhancing your communication skills. I get a lot of these applications from these millennials these days who've forgotten that R is just a letter and not a spelling, or U is just a letter and not a spelling. So it's really important that people know their communication skills well, because you need to be clear in your writing as well as your speaking, because you need to handle internal as well as external customers, external stakeholders, I would say, not just customers. It could be the regulator, it could be the customers, it could be the society at large, customers, investors, etc. You really have to be clear when what you write to the regulator. You can't be wrong with your commas and your full stops. So I think it's very important that you enhance your communication skills if you want to do well in the insurance industry, like any other industry, I believe. And a very important aspect of good communication is the ability to listen. You need to listen to what your customers are saying. You need to listen to what your employees are saying, put things into action, and make sure that you better understand the goals. I mean, that will help you, in fact, but unless and until the results are there on the table for your management to see, I'm sorry, but really nobody would recognize you. So it's important that, whether you're developing a new product, whether you're bringing in a new distributor, or you're paying your claim fair and square, there are a lot of ways in an insurance industry where you can show positive results and show the results on the table and make sure that people recognize you. One needs to be equally, if not more, focused on the results as they are on the process. End of the day, it's not about what you did, but it's about what you achieved. Last, I would like to talk about another point, which is on curiosity. I feel that it is important for insurance professionals to be eager to stay on top of the industry developments, news, trends, information, data. Even if you're in a support function, you can't say, I don't know what my sales is. I don't know where my operations team stands. Because it's really important that you understand what they're doing and you learn new aspects, the world's best practices, and see how you can imbibe it in your company. These days, employees are really looking for candidates who are curious and who want to, who are into quick learning. There was a time when you would be, actually even now, when you join a company, you're given a JD. You're supposed to work within the JD. But frankly, you get the brownie points only when you work outside the JD. And you get something new, fresh ideas to the table. Lastly, I know it's a very short one, but lastly, I like to just say that there's something that you need to focus on, a very important asset that all of you have, which is yourself. Focus investment in yourself. Give time to reading. Like Lalita just said, that you need to start reading from. You need to, in fact, teach your kids also that reading is really important, and that will help you stay ahead. Be ready to commit some time and develop yourself. And I think the aim really should be to develop at least one skill a year, so that one, you get rid of the mundane, and two, you shine. So the tips that I just talked about really are, there's no differentiation between women and men. All of us have to do the same thing if we have to stay ahead. And all the best, and I hope you enjoy your lunch. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your speech. Now I will request Neha Janwar to be on the stage. She is a manager partner, Veracity Investment Management, IMF LLP, Master in Business Administration from Pune University. She has worked in various roles with ICICI Pru and Aditya Birla Sun Life, AMC. She is an independent financial advisor since 2012. Stage yours.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to make this really quick. I was supposed to talk on the topic of leadership, but I believe everybody here is a leader, so I don't really need to talk on that. What was asked to talk about is basically, is there any difference in the leadership skills? Is it like a men versus women? I'm a millennial, and I honestly don't think that there is anything about effective leadership to do with gender or gender biases, because the core, the parameters which are required, or the traits rather, for an effective leadership can be developed well over time. And we cannot shy away from the fact that there are certain personality traits which are unique to a man or a woman. But as most of the eminent speakers who have spoken today, we know that for us the biggest trait is empathy, which always helps us in team building, working in a better and an inclusive culture. And we are no lesser than anybody else to prove ourselves as good leaders. So that's all I would like to say. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate this is a time management. This is what we required. May I request to Maua Nandi, Regional Manager, National Insurance Company, appointed as a direct recruited officers, the AOs in 1991, having 28 years of experience in NIA and served at Asansol, Calcutta, Bangalore and Mumbai. Stage is yours, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The subject for me is, can women be good marketeers? Insurance industry has come a long way. It has increased by leaps and bounds to 1,60,000 crore as of 31st March 2018. And it is poised for a growth of up to 1,80,000 crores as of this year, March 2019. During this period, there has been a transient change in the demographic workforce in India. So slowly and slowly, women have forayed into the corporate sector and have taken up different roles in the business houses. So let's talk about the grassroots marketing. In LIC, we see that about 28% of the agent force are women. So that's not a bad way, considering the fact that 49% of the population in India are women. But still, there is still scope for women to empower themselves and propel themselves forward in this area of contributing to our company's growth and success. So what is it that makes us good marketing personnel, and what is it that prevents us from not doing so? We women can do anything which is difficult. The most difficult thing, women give birth. If we can do that, surely other things are pretty simple. It's a different matter that today there are mostly all cesarean operations, so women don't want to endure the pain. That's a different matter. But the point is that we do have the capability of doing anything. So all my eminent speakers have already dwelt with the subject on which also I agree, that we are committed, that we are very committed in what we do, and commitment is the only thing which will help us keep our customer base and retain our customer base. So what is it that prevents women from foraying into marketing roles? At any stage in a woman's life, there is always an inner turmoil between choosing the family and her professional commitments. there comes the role of support. Support from the family, support from colleagues in office. And I'm sure, given that support, she would break the boundaries and forge ahead. With this, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I will invite Mrs. Anita Bhasker. She is an LIC agent, Mumbai, awarded TOT, that is highest achievement in the insurance industry in 2018, and several MDRT awards over the past 17 years. So that's what. I'll request her to be on the stage. I think she should be an inspiration for the people to become at least agent.
Thank you, Insurance Alerts, for having me here as a speaker today to share my thoughts on this platform. First I want to congratulate all of us for the Women's Day. Let us clap for us. I want to highlight some of the qualities what we women have that can make them successful, and just share some of the experiences of my professional journey. In 2001, the tragedy struck our home. My husband met an accident and passed away. At that time, I was a homemaker, raising my two daughters, 18 and 15. All of a sudden, I was just helpless and directionless. Today, 17 years later, I am a TOT awardee, COT, 10 MDRT, independent and happy, seeing my two daughters very well educated daughters flourish in their respective profession. What enabled me today standing in front of you all is insurance, successfully selling insurance. 90% credit goes to my husband, who had convinced me to take LIC training in the same year. After his death, I was determined to be financially independent and give best of education to my daughters. In my case, misfortune became fertilizer for the success. There are about more than 20 lakh insurance agents in India. उनमें से only top 10% would be the successful, called TOT, COT, MDRT, earning more than 20 lakh at least. And how many of us women are there as LIC agent? I see not more than 10% of those successful ladies. Why? We have so many qualities. If we practice that, we can really be successful in insurance. That we all know insurance is an excellent industry. It has lot of potential. We can really make our future with this industry if we practice properly. Just a second. Insurance selling is not very simple. We have to face many challenges along the way. Especially for the women, probably one or two biggest challenges are there. There are many clients who don't prefer to buy insurance from women, thinking they may not have thorough knowledge, they may not give good service. So ladies, we must prove our credibility. Once it is established, then we get recurring business, definitely. Women are the unique creation of God. There are so many wonderful qualities we have. I would like to just point out few of the qualities. We are multitaskers, good time manager. We have patience and perseverance. We are economical and empathy. We have intelligence with understanding. That is very important, I feel. We are far-sighted. We are trustworthy and transparent. Only few things I will explain what has helped me also in my journey. Economical, that is, it's a unique quality of economy and empathizing. थोड़ा देके ज़्यादा लेना, ये हमारी फितरत में ही है. We always bargain for things. So if we use this quality while selling insurance also, like many clients, they don't have very big premium. So in their limited premium also, if we can give them the best solution where they can really get very good returns, that would be our mastery of our profession. We have many outlets where we can make our sell our business. We see opportunity in all the aspects of our life. There are many channels where we can promote our business, like kitty party, bhajan party, school group. We go to school to pick up our children, meet other parents. So we should never feel shy of talking about insurance and selling insurance. We are smart, intelligent, talkative, very social. Why shouldn't we leverage our husband's business network also to sell insurance? Then we have patience and perseverance. From the birth, we have to listen to our parents, our in-laws, our husband, even to our children. So we don't get disheartened when our clients keep postponing the meetings or take lot of time to take decision. But we always follow up regularly till we get success. I remember I had sold a big policy to a family after 8 years of perseverance. And from even my colleagues, they used to tell me, why you are after him? He may not buy, he may not be interested. But I said, no, I will sell this policy to him. And I've got friends, 11 lakhs regular premium and 1.75 crore single premium from that family after 8 years. So I never give up. कोई भी client मेरे list से delete नहीं होता है. Then we are far-sighted. Women from any financial background, we have this habit of saving regularly behind our husband's back. We save this money for many reasons. For ourselves, for any kind of emergency, for medical requirement, for marriage, for education, for so many things. ये बात और है, demonetization से मोदी जी ने सबका पैसा निकलवा लिया. And some husband, they got the shock of their life to see how much money their wife have. Then we have trust and transparency. This is, I feel, a very, very important point. हम किसी ज्वेलर के शॉप पे भी जाते हैं तो हम देखते हैं कि whether उसका नाम है क्या. If we can trust, then only we can buy some jewelry or any expensive things or whatever. So no client will buy from a stranger policy until unless he has or she has trust on us. So it is very important to develop this trust between the client and ourselves. I feel if we are very transparent, very clear with our client in making the plan understanding, giving the right presentation, not inflated ones, then I think gradually the trust is developed. I always tell my client, go online and check. Whatever I am giving you, I am not giving you any inflated, because most of the client think कि जो agents आते हैं वो बहुत inflated presentation देते हैं. Actually we don't get that much. So I have no fear when the client calls कि आपने ये दिया था. Yes, I am giving you this and you can check online. So trust is very, very important. I remember one incident. I had 3-4 meetings with one client, but somehow deal close नहीं हो रहा था. But I was making a following up always. One fine day, the client called me and he said, Mrs. Mahansaria, can you come to my office tomorrow? I was very happy. He was a big client and big premium was expected. And friends, immediately पूरी खुशी चली गई when he said, I'm sorry Mrs. Mahansaria, मैं ये पॉलिसी आपसे नहीं लूँगा, मेरी सिस्टर इन लॉ है उससे लूँगा, but I want you to come to my office and please guide me. Friends, I was very disappointed initially, but just after 2 minutes I felt so happy. I respected myself कि client is calling me to guide him कि whether what policy he is buying is right or no. That means he trusted my presentation what I had given him. And I appreciated the client also that he was transparent with me. He could have called me and taken the presentation and forget about it. So trust is very, very important. Prospecting is the thumb rule of our industry. We should always carry our visiting card and give to as many people as we can. And whenever I go to meet any of my client, I always carry a nice gift. It is always appreciated and remembered. We can use social media, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram. We can always put the pictures of our achievement. If we will not promote ourselves, who will do that for us? With all these inborn qualities, friends, if we women can enhance ourselves with the thorough knowledge of our industry, including the technical knowledge and some all-round knowledge of politics, economy and business, I think the sky would be the limit for us. नारी तुम केवल श्रद्धा हो, विश्वास रजत नग पग तल में, पीयूष स्रोत सी बहा करो जीवन के सुंदर समतल में. थैंक यू. जय हिंद.
Thank you, ma'am. It was really a very inspiring story. And an agent as a woman are always more successful. That is what many places have been told. Now I'll request Mr. Subodh Tandon to give a vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. I know we all are hungry, so I'll just wrap it up fast. Thank you, Mrs. Sheetal Gandhi ji. Mrs. Gandhi has been in the industry from last 40 years. So to honor her contribution to the industry, we are pleased to honor her with her Lifetime Achievement Award. To do the honors, I would invite Mr. Vivek Jain, Editor-in-Chief, to do the honors, please. Mrs. Gandhi, please. Thank you. You were very good. Thank you very much. Please. Mrs. Gandhi, please. Friends, on behalf of insurance, oh, I'm sorry.
I've talked a lot.
Please, I'm sorry.
But I just want to tell you that at the age of 70 years, if I'm openly telling you, generally where a woman hides their age, I don't want to do it. But I just, in our forum, I want to tell you at the age of 70 years, if I can be so active, I hope you people can be more than me. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Friends, on behalf of Insurance Alerts and its team, I would like to thank you all guests of honor, chief guest speakers. You all were wonderful audience. और मुझे ये अपॉर्चुनिटी मिल रही है कि आप लोग के सामने बोलने की. आई एम रियली वेरी नर्वस. आप लोग बहुत अच्छा बोल रहे थे और हम पीछे 30% बैठे हुए सुन रहे थे कि हम अपनी वाइफ को ज़रूर जाके बोलेंगे कि प्लीज़ हम लोग इतने भी बुरे नहीं हैं, हम लोग बहुत रिस्पेक्ट करते हैं आप लोग को. सो प्लीज़, इट इज़ बिकॉज, डेफिनेटली इट इज़ बिकॉज ऑफ यू वी आर देयर इज़ नो टू वेज. आप हमारा घर संभालते हैं, हमको संभालते हैं, हमको झेलते हैं, हमारे बच्चों को देखते हैं, उनको बहुत अच्छे से ब्रॉट अप करते हैं. एंड दिस कल्चर इज इन एशियन कंट्रीज, स्पेशली इन इंडिया. सो ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ जेंट्स, मेल रादर, वी थैंक यू. बिकॉज ऑफ यू वी आर देयर. सो थैंक यू वेरी मच. I thank you our partners, GIC Re, SBI General Insurance Company, Insurance Broker Association of India, and Leisure Assure. Thank you very much for the wonderful things we have. Please, we'll proceed for the lunch. Thank you.
No matter who you are or where you're from, each and every one of us has one thing in common. We all have a vision filled with big ambitions, big aspirations, big goals, and big dreams. At SBI General Insurance, we too pursue a big vision. A vision to provide bigger and better health insurance solutions. A vision to reach all our customers through the big footprint of State Bank branches. A vision to provide our customers with an extensive health insurance product portfolio that ensures their security and complete peace of mind. Backed by SBI, we have been successful in taking care of the health insurance needs of our customers. SBI General Insurance introduces 3 new health insurance products that will help you serve your customers' medical insurance needs in a big way. Introducing Arogya Premier Policy. SBI General Insurance's Arogya Premier Policy provides bigger and better medical coverage for those special few who need exclusive medical coverage. This policy provides a wide coverage from Rs 10 lakhs to Rs 30 lakhs, offering all the benefits of a simple health insurance policy. SBI General Insurance's Arogya Premier Policy provides a host of other features, including automatic reinstatement of sum insured at no additional premium. Cumulative bonus of 10% of sum insured for each claim-free year, maximum up to 50%. No pre-policy medical test up to the age of 55 years for people with no medical history. Introducing Arogya Top-Up Policy. Now, there may be situations when your medical expenses go beyond what you have accounted for. In such scenarios, Arogya Top-Up Policy provides additional coverage at a very low premium. SBI General Insurance's Arogya Top-Up Policy provides big coverage of Rs 1 lakh to Rs 50 lakhs with deductible option of Rs 1 lakh to Rs 10 lakhs. It also provides reinstatement of sum insured on payment of additional premium. Introducing Arogya Plus Policy. SBI General Insurance's Arogya Plus provides complete tax saving along with protection against rising outpatient and hospitalization expenses. This allows you to claim the consultation amount when visiting the doctor without needing to get hospitalized. With Arogya Plus, you get sum insured option of Rs 1 lakh, Rs 2 lakhs or Rs 3 lakhs. SBI General Insurance's Arogya products give more by offering big benefits, including no pre-policy medical test up to the age of 55 years for people with no medical history, 142 daycare procedures, and maternity expenses after the first 9 months waiting period. Alternate treatment like Ayurvedic, Homeopathy, Siddha and Unani. And that's not all. You also save tax under Section 80D. SBI General's health insurance products are backed by industry-acclaimed claims settlement service, which ensures you get bigger and better quality products and services every time. Partner with us to support State Bank customers through every life-changing situation to make SBI General the general insurance brand to count on. Let us dream big because we know our customers have big dreams. With SBI General Insurance's Arogya health insurance products, help State Bank customers live a bigger and better worry-free life.